Hey guys, tonight we're journeying back to a time before the dinosaurs, to a world so alien it might as well be another planet. We're going to witness the only time in history that the land was, without question, more terrifying than the ocean. Imagine, you are standing on the shore of a vast black ocean. This is Panthalassa, the superocean that covers 70% of a single lonely continent. The moon overhead is huge. It's closer than you've ever seen it, and it races across the sky, dragging the night along with it. Behind you, in the darkness of the dry, rocky interior, the ground thuds. It's a rhythmic, heavy sound, and you feel the vibration more than you hear it. A creature the size of a tiger with 6-inch saber teeth is sniffing the air. It smells you. In front of you, the water is calm. You can hear skittering, the gentle clack of shells in the tide, but nothing large. We are told, almost instinctively, that the deep ocean is always scarier than the land. But for a brief, strange window in our planet's history, that fundamental rule was broken. A recent mass extinction had wiped the ocean clean of its monsters, turning it into a vast, quiet nursery. But on land? On land, a new and vicious arms race was just beginning, creating some of the most efficient killers the planet had ever seen. And complicating things, they are our own distant, monstrous cousins. So what was it like to be a small, warm-blooded creature in this age of monsters? What would it take to survive when the land itself, the very air you breathed, was trying to kill you? And what would you be forced to do when the safer option was an alien world you were never, ever meant to enter? Thanks to a wave of new discoveries in paleontology, tonight we are going to become that creature. We are going to live inside the Lapingian, the twilight of the Permian world, to find the answers. Frankly, if you were dropped here, you'd be less worried about the monsters and more about the atmosphere. It's so low in oxygen you'd probably pass out in the first 5 minutes. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. That small click sends a big signal to the algorithm. That long-form, serious educational content still matters. And to me, it's an incredibly meaningful show of support. Thank you so much for helping keep this channel going strong. It always fascinates me to see where you're all tuning in from. Let me know in the comments where you are in the world and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are not you. Not the you listening to this anyway. The creature we've become is small, low to the ground, and covered in what might be fur, or perhaps just a dense network of sensory bristles. You look a bit like a badger, maybe a reptilian otter, but you are not a reptile. You are a Cynodont, a dogtooth, and you are special. You are on the direct, unbroken line of ancestors that will, in 250 million years, lead to a human listening to a history podcast in bed. You are, for all intents and purposes, us. Your life is defined by 3 things: the burrow, the night, and the gnawing, constant hunger. This hunger is your superpower and your curse. You are an endotherm. You make your own heat. In a world that is beginning to cool, this is a revolutionary advantage. While the giant amphibians and armored reptiles grow sluggish in the chill of the short night, you are alive. You are quick. Your brain, flooded with warm, oxygenated blood, is sharp. But this internal furnace demands fuel. You must eat every single night, or you will die. So you hunt. You live in a world of senses that your distant descendants have all but forgotten. Your lifeline isn't your eyes, it's your whiskers. Paleontologists still argue over how mammal-like you were. Did you have true fur? Did you sweat? But the pits in your fossilized snout are undeniable. You have vibrissae, whiskers. As you crawl through the dry, dusty soil, these whiskers paint a three-dimensional map of the world, feeling the faintest vibrations, the scuttle of an insect, the texture of a root. They are your radar, your sonar, your early warning system. And you need it. Because you are not the only theropsid in this world. The Permian is the age of the theropsids, the great mammal-like reptiles, and you are just one branch of a very dysfunctional family tree. You are the meek side of the family, the one that learned to hide. Your cousins have taken a very different path. They have not inherited the earth. They have decided to conquer it. The thudding sound in the darkness, the saber-toothed tiger-sized monster. That's your cousin. This is a family feud on a geologic scale. And right now, your side is desperately, hopelessly losing. Your only strategy is to not be seen. You dig your burrow, a deep, winding tunnel in the compacted soil, and you hide from the sun, from the heat, and from your relatives. Your burrow is your universe, but it is a prison. The constant gnawing need for fuel, for insects, for grubs, for the stray, unwary lizard, forces you out into the greater world. And what a world it is! You emerge, nose first, into the dry, oppressive air of the Lopingian epoch. Your home is the supercontinent Pangaea. It is the only landmass on the planet, a single, sea-shaped behemoth of rock and dust that stretches from the North Pole to the South Pole. There is no other side of the world. There is only here, the vast, unending interior of the greatest desert the world has ever known. This geography defines your life. Because you live deep inside this supercontinent, you are cut off from the moderating influence of the global ocean, Panthalassa. The very idea of a coastal breeze or gentle spring rain is an impossibility. The climate here is a thing of brutal continental extremes. The days are scorching, a dry, suffocating heat that bakes the moisture from the ground and from your own body. The nights are shockingly cold, a clear, thin chill that settles over the land as the supercontinent radiates all its heat back into space. The weather isn't just weather, it's a monster all its own. For decades, you might live in a permanent, bone-cracking drought, watching the landscape turn from red dust to grey dust. Then the pattern will shift, and for the next decade, you will be battered by continent-sized monsoons. These aren't just thunderstorms, they are atmospheric rivers of unimaginable scale, dumping so much water that the flat, dry plains turn into a vast, shallow inland sea overnight. You, in your burrow, are in a constant battle against being either baked alive or drowned in a flash flood of mud. You poke your head out of the tunnel, and you smell the Permian. It is not the rich, loamy smell of a modern forest. The air is sharp, acrid. It smells of ozone, dust, and the dry, peppery scent of Glossopteris leaves. These are the dominant trees of your world. A seed fern that is tough, leathery, and according to recent analysis of their fossils, deciduous. They form vast, monotonous forests that cover much of the southern half of Pangaea. The air is filled with their dry, rustling sound and their slightly sour, resinous odor. It's the smell of home, but it's also the smell of a world that is low on oxygen and high on stress. And looming over all of it, a silent geological oppressor is the great obstacle. To the west of you lies the central Pangaean Mountains. This isn't just a range, it's a scar, a colossal wall of rock vaster and higher than the modern Himalayas, formed from the crushing slow-motion collision of the ancient continents that built Pangaea. These mountains are so massive that they create a rain shadow the size of modern Asia. They block all moisture from the Western Ocean from ever reaching you. You live and die in the lee of this great wall, in a permanent mountain-enforced desert. This mountain range is the reason your world is so hard. It filters the very air, trapping you in this harsh, dry basin, and it acts as an impassable barrier, concentrating all life, both you and the things that hunt you, into this one, inescapable, brutal valley. As you sit at the mouth of your burrow, testing the air, you feel the rhythm of this world, and it is fast. The sun seems to plummet through the hazy, brownish sky, and the night arrives not as a gentle fade, but as a sudden, rushing tide of black. This is because the planet itself is spinning faster. The moon, your only lamp, is closer, much closer. When it rises, it is an enormous, startling lantern, a pitted silver-grey giant that races across the celestial sphere. It looks close enough to touch, and its gravitational grip on the planet is immense. Because of this lunar drag, a day on this world is not 24 hours long, it's only 22. This simple fact changes everything about your life. You are a nocturnal creature, and your night, your precious, cool, safe window for hunting, finding a mate, and gathering food, is 2 hours shorter than it should be. You don't have the luxury of time. Your entire existence is lived on fast forward, a frantic, high-stakes scramble to get everything done before that scorching, UV-blasting sun returns. There is no lazy night. There is no waiting for the prey to come to you. The moment the air cools, you are out and moving, your senses on high alert. The rhythm of your heart, the pace of your metabolism, the very tempo of your life is dictated by this rushing sky. But the close moon has another stranger effect. It makes the nights brilliant. You do not live in a world of absolute blackness. When the moon is full, it is so large and bright that the landscape is bathed in a silvery, ethereal light. It's a world etched in silver and ink-black shadows. This light is your ally. You hunt by this brilliant, oversized moonlight, your sharp, mammal-like eyes. A new adaptation, picking out the faintest movements in the stark, contrasted landscape. You can see the glint of an insect's carapace, the shadow of a glossopteris leaf falling. This bright night, however, is a double-edged sword. If you can see, so can the monsters. The silver light that illuminates your prey also illuminates you, a tiny, furry meal, for the keen-eyed hunters that patrol the plains. And then there are the tides. With the moon so close, the tides on the super-ocean, Panthalassa, are not the gentle lapping of your distant future. They are colossal, monstrous things, vast bulges of water that surge inland for miles with terrifying speed. But you are not near the ocean. You are in the deep interior. You are safe from the water. You are not, however, safe from the air. This is a fringe theory, a concept that historians of the deep past still argue over, but it makes a terrifying amount of sense. The moon's gravity doesn't just pull on the water, it pulls on the atmosphere itself. This creates atmospheric tides, great invisible bulges of air that race across the continent. As the oversized moon speeds overhead, it drags the thin, dusty air with it, creating winds of incredible, persistent strength. The nights are not just bright, they are howling. A constant, high-pitched, abrasive wind screams across the plains, carrying dust that stings your eyes and sand that threatens to bury your burrow. It is a world of permanent, wind-whipped noise. This wind is your constant companion, your oppressor, and sometimes your savior. It chills you to the bone, forcing your internal furnace to burn even more precious fuel just to stay warm. It masks the sound of your own movements, but it also masks the thudding, 1,000-pound footsteps of a Gorgonopsid on the hunt. You are forced to rely more than ever on your whiskers, on the vibrations in the ground, because your ears are filled with nothing but the shriek of the 22-hour night. That howling wind is carrying more than just dust. It carries the signature of the entire planet, and it is a signature of oppression. You sit at the burrow's entrance, your highly efficient lungs working, and you take a breath. It feels thin. This is your invisible, ever-present enemy, the air itself. You are living in a low-oxygen world. For millions of years back in the Carboniferous, the planet was wrapped in a thick, oxygen-rich atmosphere as high as 30%. That world is long gone. Now, thanks to a changing climate and complex geological cycles, the oxygen level is plummeting, down to around 16%. For comparison, your distant descendants will be used to a comfortable 21%. This means that your entire life is lived as if you are on a high-altitude mountain. You are, in effect, permanently trapped at 10,000 feet. Every breath is a chore. Every movement is expensive. That internal furnace that gives you the gift of warm-bloodedness, it's an oxygen hog. Your body is a masterpiece of efficiency. Your lungs, your heart, your blood, all evolved to extract every last molecule of O2 from the thin, useless air. But it's a constant struggle. You tire easily. A dead sprint to your burrow leaves you heaving, your sides aching, your vision blurring at the edges. You live on the edge of hypoxia all day, every day. And the air is not just thin, it is hot. The average global temperature is a scorching 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't a heat wave in the desert. This is the average for the entire planet. The days are a suffocating, shimmering blast furnace. This is the other reason your burrow is your life. You are not just hiding from monsters, you are hiding from the sun. Your warm-blooded body is in a constant, desperate battle to cool down, to not cook yourself from the inside out. You are a creature of the night, not by choice, but by thermal necessity. To be caught out in the open, under the full, unfiltered glare of the midday sun, would be a death sentence in minutes. You sniff the air again. It has a strange, sharp, metallic tang. A taste. You look up at the hazy, brownish-yellow sky. The sun is a sickly, smeared disk. The giant moon, when it rises, will be a murky rust color. This is your quirky, terrifying tidbit. The apocalypse has already begun. It's just in its soft launch phase. Far to the north of you, in a land you will never see, the earth has begun to crack open. The Siberian Traps, the largest volcanic event in 500 million years, has started its first sputtering eruptions. It's not the main event yet. not the planet-killing flood of lava that's coming, but it started. This is what scholars still debate. Not if it started, but how much these early precursor eruptions were already poisoning the world you live in. The leading theory is a lot. That metallic taste in the air? It's sulfur dioxide, the hazy, sick-looking sky. It's a permanent smog of volcanic sulfates, trapping the heat and turning the sunlight a greasy yellow. When the monsoons do come, the water that falls from the sky is a weak solution of acid, stunting the Glossopteris trees and souring the soil. You are living in a world that is thin, hot, and toxic. You are a masterpiece of survival, a creature evolved to endure hypoxia, oppressive heat, and a poisoned atmosphere. But as you hunker down, listening to the wind, you have to wonder, how much worse can it get? And the answer to that question, how much worse can it get, comes as a vibration through the soil, a feeling that travels up your leg bones and into your skull. It's the thud, the heavy, rhythmic, 1,000-pound footstep you felt earlier. It is the living, breathing, hunting answer. The monster of your world is not a dinosaur. Dinosaurs are still 20 million years away, a minor league of small reptiles. The monster of your world is a Gorgonopsid, a gorgon face, and its name, the one paleontologists will give it 250 million years from now, is Inostransevia. It is the size of a large tiger, some specimens approaching the bulk of a small rhino, and it is the apex predator of this world. But the most unsettling thing, it's your cousin. It is a therapsid, just like you. It is on a different branch of the family tree, the one that chased power instead of safety. It doesn't sprawl like a lizard. It walks with a semi-erect, powerful, mammalian-like gait, its body held high off the ground, its movements quick and eerily efficient. And then there are the teeth. It pulls its lips back in a snarl, and you see them. 2 6-inch-long canines, flattened like blades, serrated like steak knives. These are not for crushing bone. Paleontologists still argue over the precise, grisly mechanics of the Gorgonopsid kill. The consensus is a terrifying one. The skull is light, the teeth are relatively delicate, they would snap if they hit bone. They were not designed for a crushing bite. They were designed for slicing. The leading theory is a bite-and-retreat strategy. Inostransevia would rush in, use its powerful neck to drive those 2 serrated blades deep into the soft, unprotected flank of a giant, armored herbivore, and then pull back. It would rip a 6-inch-wide, foot-deep gash, severing muscle and arteries, and then it would wait, following its prey at a casual trot, simply waiting for it to bleed to death. Here is the quirky, and frankly most terrifying tidbit. Like you, Inostransevia was likely an endotherm, or at least a gigantotherm. It was a warm-blooded killer. This wasn't a cold, sluggish reptile that hunted once a month and spent the rest of its time basking. This was a fast, relentless, high-metabolism predator. It had to hunt all the time to fuel its massive, warm body. It was always hungry. It was the night-stalking, saber-toothed, warm-blooded boogeyman of the Lapingian. You are hiding from a creature that has all of your evolutionary advantages, warmth, speed, endurance, but scaled up to the size of a small car and given the weapons of a demon. And where did this thing come from? Why was it here? Because of a mainstream historical fact of the Permian. The throne was empty. Just before your time, about 8 million years earlier, a different extinction event, the Capitanian, had wiped out the previous apex predators, a bizarre group called the Dinocephalians, the terrible heads. This extinction created a power vacuum. The Gorgonopsids, Inostrancevia, and its relatives were the brutal usurpers. They were the new money of the apex predator world, and they had taken to their new role with terrifying efficiency. They were the new kings, and the world was their personal bloody banquet. You are a creature defined by that thud. It is the bass line to the frantic song of your life. The Inostrancevia is the reason you live in a hole in the ground. It is the reason you are small, the reason you are fast, and the reason your heart is a tiny, powerful engine that can kick into a panic sprint in a fraction of a second. Your night begins. The gnawing hunger, that terrible, expensive furnace of your warm blood, is demanding fuel. It overrides your fear, just barely. You crawl to the entrance of your burrow, a narrow tunnel just wide enough for your own shoulders. You pause, a silent, whiskered shadow in the blackness of the tunnel. You are listening. And this is the secret to your survival. This is the sensory warfare that you will one day pass on to all mammals. You are not listening with just your ears. You are listening with your face. Your long, sensitive whiskers, to use the mainstream historical fact, vibrissa, are fanned out, not even touching the sides of the burrow, but feeling the air pressure. A few bristles are pressed gently against the cool, packed earth of the tunnel floor. There. The thud. It's faint, distant. A mile away? Half a mile? Your brain, a miracle of new mammalian computation, cross-references. The vibration is in the soil, weak. The sound in the air, carried on the howling 22-hour night wind, is non-existent. It's far, and it's moving away. You are also listening with your jaw. This is your scientific evidence, your evolutionary masterpiece. The bones of your jaw are not yet the tiny, delicate hammers and anvils of a human ear, but they are on their way. You are a synapsid, and your reptilian jaw bones are already shrinking, already becoming specialized, vibrating with a sensitivity that no Gorgonopsid possesses. You rest your chin on the dirt, and you get a high-definition picture of the world outside. You can feel the skitter of a six-legged insect, the distant, heavy tread of the monster, and the low-frequency rumble of the wind itself. You emerge, a low, quick shadow, and you run. You don't walk. You don't forage. You sprint from one patch of shadow to the next, from the base of a dead Glossopteris trunk to a cluster of dry, abrasive rocks. Every second you are in the open, you are on the menu. Then you freeze. The wind has changed, and it has brought a new smell. It is not the dry, peppery scent of the dead trees. It's an oily, acrid stench. It is the quirky, stomach-turning tidbit of this world. The smell of the apex predator. It is a thick, musky odor, a cross between a lion's territorial spray and the coppery tang of old blood. It smells like carrion. The monster is close. You dive into a crack in the rocks, your body a tense knot of muscle, and you wait. And then you see it. The Inostrancevia. It is silhouetted against the giant, racing, pale yellow moon. A shadow of impossible size. A walking nightmare. It is sniffing the air, its massive, saber-toothed head swinging from side to side. It is hungry. You hold your breath. Your efficient high-altitude lungs are burning. It turns. It hasn't seen you. It hasn't smelled you. The wind is in your favor. It begins to move on, its huge muscular shoulders rolling with a predator's easy confidence. And then you make a mistake. A tiny pebble, dislodged by your trembling foot, clacks against the rock. The giant shadow stops. It goes utterly, terribly still. The silence is louder than the wind, and then it turns. Not slowly, in an instant. It has seen you. You do not think, you do not plan. You simply are. You are 250 million years of evasion. You explode from the rocks, a furry cannonball, your legs pumping, digging into the dust, heading for the tiny, black smudge entrance of your burrow 50 yards away. 50 yards. The thuds are no longer distant. They are behind you. Thud, thud, thud. They are not footsteps. They are explosions in the ground, and you feel the shock wave of each one in your teeth. It is closing. The hot, stinking breath of the monster is on your tail. You see the hole, 10 feet, 5. You do not slow down. You dive. You hit the entrance at a full sprint, tucking your head, and you are in, skidding, tumbling, scraping your fur and skin against the rough, compacted earth of your own tunnel. You are safe. A second later, the world outside the burrow erupts. You hear a terrifying, high-pitched snarl and the scrape of 6-inch claws on the rock above your entrance. The ground shakes as the monster tries to dig, to claw, to force its massive head into the hole. But it can't. The hole is too small. A blast of hot, sulphurous, carrion-stinking air washes over you as the Inostrancevia snorts into the tunnel. A sound of pure, frustrated rage. Then, the scraping stops. This is the great equalizer. Your cowardice is your genius. Historians still argue whether this burrowing was a new, desperate adaptation or a long-held lifestyle, but the result is the same. Your burrowing is the single greatest evolutionary strategy of the Lopingian. The monster, with all its power, its speed, and its 6-inch serrated blade teeth, has been defeated by a hole in the ground. It is too big. Its weapons are useless. You have won. Not by fighting, not by being strong, but by hiding. You are the survivor, and as you listen to the thuds of your furious, baffled cousin stomping away in defeat, you are the future. You stay in the deep, dark safety of your burrow for a long time, your heart hammering against your ribs. The vibrations of the Inostrancevia have faded completely, lost to the constant howling wind that sings over the entrance to your tunnel. You are safe. You have won. But that safety is an illusion, a temporary reprieve. The Lopingian world is not a simple monster movie with one star. It is a complex, deeply unfair ecosystem of terror. Escaping the apex predator just means you've survived long enough to be hunted by the runner-ups. And the B team is, in many ways, worse. They are the Therocephalians, the beast heads. Like you, like the Gorgonopsid, they are therapsids, all part of the same dysfunctional, sprawling, mammal-like family. But where the Gorgonopsids went for sheer size and shock and awe weaponry, the Therocephalians went for diversity. This is the mainstream historical fact of their lineage. They were the adaptable, jack-of-all-trades killers. Some were small, fast, and weasel-like, built to slide into cracks and burrows. Others were the size of a leopard. And some, like the terrifying Moscow Highness, were as robust and powerful as a jaguar, with a thick, bone-crushing skull. You live in fear of all of them. But there is one, a creature known to paleontologists as Megahuaitia, that represents a special insidious kind of terror. This is the scientific evidence and the center of a grim scholarly debate. When we find their skulls, we see long, deep grooves running down their canine teeth. Paleontologists still argue over their purpose. Were these just structural, to make the tooth lighter? Were they blood grooves, to help the prey bleed out faster? Or were they for venom? This is the quirky, skin-crawling tidbit of your world. It's entirely possible, perhaps even probable, that you are being hunted by a distant, wolf-sized mammal cousin that has a venomous bite. Like a modern Gila monster or a boomslang, it wouldn't need to kill you outright. It just needs one good nip. One slash from those grooved fangs, one injection of its toxic saliva, and it can simply follow you at a leisurely pace, waiting for the neurotoxins to shut down your efficient, high-altitude lungs. The very idea of venom, that complex chemical weapon, may have been invented by our family line, and it is being used against you. This is why the Therocephalians are such a nightmare. They are the middle management of the food chain. The Inostrancevia is the CEO, too big, too important to deal with a small fry like you, unless you're unlucky enough to be in its path. But the Therocephalians, they are the hungry, ambitious regional managers. They are fast, they are adaptable, they are smart, and they can go where the Inostrancevia can't. You are deep in your tunnel, finally calming down when you hear a new sound. It is not the thud of a Gorgonopsid. It is not the howl of the wind. It is a scraping. It's faint, but it's close. And it's not coming from the tunnel entrance. It's coming from above. From the solid earth roof, just a few feet over your head. A Therocephalian, one of the smaller weasel-like ones, has smelled you. It has pinpointed your burrow. And it has done the one thing the Gorgonopsid couldn't. It's digging. It's clawing its way, inch by inch, through the compacted earth to get to you. Your fortress, your one safe place, is about to be breached from the inside. The scraping is frantic now, a dry, rasping sound of claws through compacted dirt. It's right above your head. Dirt and small pebbles rain down on your fur. The weasel-like Therocephalian is moments away from breaking through. Your sanctuary, your fortress, is a trap. You have no choice. You bolt. You don't go toward the digging. You fly down the other tunnel, the escape shaft you dug for exactly this reason, and burst out into the howling moonlit night. You don't stop to look back. You just run, a streak of dusty fur, plunging into the shadows of a Glossopteris grove. You have escaped the beast head, but you have just traded one kind of terror for another. You are in the open, you are exposed, and worse, you are parched. The terror, the sprint, the constant dry 35°C heat, and the thin, low oxygen air, it all wrings the moisture from your body. Your efficient lungs heave, but your throat feels like it's full of dust. Your internal furnace is overheating, and you need water now, more than you need food or safety. This burning biological imperative drives you toward the one place you truly dread. You know where it is. You can smell the damp, slightly rotten scent of it on the wind. You make your way to the shrinking riverbed, a muddy, cracked scar in the landscape. The water is not a rippling, clear mountain stream. It is a slow, thick, murky, and silent ribbon of lukewarm water. It looks dead. It feels dead. But it is wet. You creep toward the bank, your whiskers fanned out, tasting the damp air. You lower your head to drink, and the water explodes. It is not a crocodile. Crocodiles as you know them don't exist yet. This is something older, slimier, and in many ways worse. This is Cynodont. This is the mainstream historical fact of the freshwater trap. The rivers are ruled by giant amphibians. Cynodont is a temnospondyle, a distant, monstrous relative of a modern frog or salamander. But it is 13 feet long, weighs half a ton, and its head is a 2-foot-wide, armored, U-shaped shovel of bone. It doesn't chase. It waits. This is the scientific evidence from its fossil flat skull. It lies in the murky, anoxic water, its eyes and nostrils perched on top of its head, perfectly flush with the surface, looking like 2 small bumps of mud. It waits for a thirsty Cynodont like you to lower its head. And then it unhinges. Its attack is a feat of physics. It doesn't just bite. It opens its colossal dinner-plate-sized jaws so fast that it creates a vacuum. The water, the air, and you are instantly sucked into a dark, tooth-filled void. It is a spring-loaded biological trap. You leap back, a fraction of a second separating you from that vacuum. The sound of its jaws snapping shut echoes like a car door slamming. You feel the splash of the foul water on your fur. The monster, its attack failed, sinks back into the murk as if it were never there. You stand, trembling, your thirst completely forgotten, replaced by a new, cold layer of terror. This is the quirky, horrifying tidbit of your life. This is the core truth of the Lapingian. Nowhere is safe. The land, the high ground, is ruled by the saber-toothed Gorgonopsids. The low ground, the burrows, are invaded by the venomous, digging Therocephalians. And now, the water, the very source of life, is a lethal, spring-loaded trap ruled by giant killer amphibians. You are trapped between 3 separate monster guilds, 3 distinct, overlapping territories of death. The concept of safety isn't just an illusion. It's a cruel joke. You back away from the riverbank, the foul splash of the Cynodon's failed attack still clinging to your fur. You are still thirsty, still hot, still breathing the thin, toxic air. But you are alive. You are a survivor. But surviving, you realize, is not the same as living. You return to the ruins of your burrow, the one the Therocephalian invaded. It is useless now. It is compromised. The scent of the predator is all over it, and the memory of that scraping claw is seared into your brain. You cannot stay. Your home is gone. This, you realize, is the true state of your world. The interior of Pangaea is hopeless. It is a closed system, a trap. The air is getting thinner and more toxic every day, carrying that sour metallic tang of the distant northern volcanoes. The scientific evidence for this is in the soil itself, a slow, creeping death that is poisoning the plants. The Glossopteris trees, the leathery seed ferns that anchor your entire world, are looking sick. Their leaves are yellowing, pockmarked with the telltale burns of the acid rain that now falls in the seasonal monsoons. The food web is collapsing from the bottom. The insects you rely on are disappearing. The small reptiles you sometimes manage to catch are starving. And as the prey vanishes, the predators, the Gorgonopsids and the Therocephalians, are not dying. They are just getting more desperate. They are hunting more, they are more aggressive, and they are everywhere. Your life here is no longer a sustainable strategy of hiding. It is a losing battle of attrition. You cannot stay. Your burrow is gone. Your food is gone. Your home is gone. You must move. You must abandon everything you have ever known. There is only one place left to go. You don't know how you know, but you do. It's a scent on the wind, a faint alien smell that is different from the dust and the peppery trees. It is a deep, ancient biological pull toward moisture. Toward the one place the monsters don't seem to rule. You must go to the coast. The journey begins. You are a single, small, furry creature, a refugee in your own world, setting off on a desperate migration of hundreds of miles. You travel, as always, by night, under the hurried, brilliant light of the 22-hour moon. You travel through the forests of Pangaea. This is the mainstream historical fact of the era, the Glossopteris forests. You are not pushing through lush jungles or walking under the shady canopy of oaks and pines. Those trees do not exist. This is a forest of the alien ancient Glossopteris. They are strange, spindly seed ferns, an evolutionary experiment, and they form vast, monotonous, almost artificial-looking groves that cover the entire southern half of the continent. Their dry, leathery, tongue-shaped leaves carpet the ground, rustling with a dry, papery sound as you run across them. The forest is quiet. It is not a place of birdsong or chattering monkeys. It is a place of wind, dust, and the occasional distant thud of a hunting Gorgonopsid. And as you travel, you realize you are running from one more enemy. This is the quirky, terrifying tidbit of your journey. The world is on fire. These forests are tinder dry. The air is hot, the leaves are dead, and the acid rain hasn't been enough to stop the inevitable. Historians still debate the exact composition of the low-oxygen air, but one thing is certain. Lightning in the dry, churning storms of the continental interior is still common. A single strike is all it takes. In the distance, the horizon is not black. It is a flickering, pulsing, angry orange. You are running from monsters, from drought, from giant killer amphibians, and now you are running from fire. The Glossopteris trees burn with a hot, smoky, resinous smell that chokes the air and makes your already taxed lungs scream. The fire moves with terrifying speed, a roaring wall of flame driven by the high winds of the atmospheric tides. You are forced into a desperate, days-long sprint, not even hiding, just running, the heat at your back, the smoke so thick you can barely see, as the apocalypse you sensed in the air becomes a living, breathing, burning reality. You run for days. The fire is at your back, a roaring crimson giant that consumes the dry Glossopteris forests and paints the hazy yellow sky with black, oily smoke. You are not just a creature anymore. You are a refugee, a tiny, insignificant fleck of life, swept up in a tide of fire and driven by a desperate biological imperative. On your journey, exhausted and singed, you encounter the other inhabitants of this dying world. You are not the only thing fleeing the flames. You are hiding under a rocky overhang, the heat of the firestorm washing over you in waves when you see it. It is a herd, a slow-moving, ponderous convoy of Scutosaurus. Shield lizards. This is the mainstream historical fact of the Permian prey. They are not dinosaurs. They are not your theropsid cousins. They are parareptiles, an entirely different branch of life, and they have adopted a very different survival strategy. They are tanks, A single Scutosaurus is 10 feet long and weighs over a ton. It is a walking fortress. Its strategy is not to hide, not to run, not to think. Its strategy is to be too difficult to eat. This is the scientific evidence you are seeing. Its body is covered in thick, knobby, bony armor plates called osteoderms, which are set directly into its leathery skin, like a living coat of mail. Its skull is a solid 2-foot-wide block of bone, spiked and knobbed, with tiny, stupid eyes. It is a slow, plant-eating bunker, and it is the primary food source for the monsters. They are moving, not with panic, but with a kind of dull geological slowness. They are too big, too heavy to run. They just endure. But the monsters are fleeing the fire too, and they are hungry. A shadow detaches itself from the smoke. An Inostransavia, its massive, tiger-like body sleek and dark against the orange glow. It is not running from the fire. It is using it. It is hunting in the chaos. The herd of tanks forms a defensive, outward-facing circle, their spiked heads low. It is an impressive, formidable wall of bone and armor. The Gorgonopsid stops, sniffs the air, and you watch, trembling, as two entirely different evolutionary philosophies prepare for battle. The tank versus the saber-toothed. And you get to watch, from the safety of your rock, why the tank strategy is a failure. The Inostransavia doesn't charge the wall of armor. It doesn't try to smash the Scutosaurus's thick skull. Paleontologists still debate this, but you are seeing the terrifying bite and retreat theory in action. The predator is fast. It's a warm-blooded blur. It lunges, not at the head, but at the flank of the largest tank. The Scutosaurus turns, but it is like a mountain trying to pivot. The Gorgonopsid rises on its hind legs, opens its jaws, and drives its 6-inch serrated canines deep into the gap between the hind leg and the armored body. It is a precise, surgical, slicing motion. It bites, pulls back, and leaps away, all in a single fluid second. The Scutosaurus roars, a low, wet, bellowing sound, and shudders. The Inostransavia just sits, 20 yards away, panting, its white serrated teeth now stained crimson. It watches. The tank stands there, confused. It is not dead, but a dark, pulsing river of blood is pouring from its side. It takes a step, stumbles, and bellows again. It is bleeding out. Its armor, its spikes, its thick, bony skull, all of it was useless. The predator never fought the armor. It just bypassed it. You, the tiny, soft-skinned, unarmored creature, have just learned a profound evolutionary lesson. Being a tank is not the answer. Being a fortress is not the answer. The answer you instinctively know, as you press yourself deeper into the rock, is to not be seen at all. You leave the grisly scene behind, the smell of blood and smoke mixing in the hot, acrid air. The Scutosaurus is a goner, and the Inostransavia will be occupied for a while with its ton of fresh, warm meat. This is your chance. You slip away from your rocky hiding spot, a tiny, fast-moving shadow in a world of slow, dying giants and fast, slicing-toothed monsters. The fire is behind you now, and the land, though still scorched, gives way to a landscape of dry, cracked earth and skeletal, leafless Glossopteris trees. You are still moving toward the coast, but you are not the only one. The migration of survivors is a quiet, desperate, nocturnal affair. You are digging for a root, your claws scraping at the hard-baked clay, when you see it. Another traveler. But this one is different. It is not a tank like Scutosaurus. It is not a monster like the Gorgonopsid. It is something in between. The creature is about the size of a large pig, with a barrel-shaped, powerful body. It has a strange, blunt face, almost like its nose has been chopped off. This is the mainstream historical fact of its appearance. It has a horny, turtle-like beak for slicing up tough plant matter, and jutting down from its upper jaw are two prominent tusks. This is Lystrosaurus, a shovel lizard, and it is a Cynodont, a two-dog tooth. It is also, and this is the quirky familiar tidbit, a Therocephalian. Like you, like the Dinosaurs, it is another cousin. You are looking at a creature that is, in a very broad sense, family. And you recognize its strategy. The Lystrosaurus is not standing its ground. It is not covered in armor. It is digging. This is its superpower. Its two tusks are not for fighting. Scientific evidence from their wear patterns shows they were used as anchors to plant its face in the ground and pull. Its forelimbs are immensely powerful, short and stout, ending in broad claws. It is a digging machine. It is a master of the bunker defense. It is not just scratching at the surface like you. It is excavating, throwing huge fans of dirt behind it, creating a deep, complex, and permanent burrow system. A warren. You watch this pig-sized, tusked, beaked cousin, and you feel a strange sense of recognition, of kinship. Its strategy is your strategy, just scaled up. Hide. Get underground. Do not fight the monsters. Do not try to be a fortress. Be a bunker. Let the terror of the world pass by overhead. You are small and burrowing. It is large and burrowing. You are both, in your own ways, cowards. And in the Lapingian, the cowards are the ones who are still breathing. This creature, this disaster taxon, as paleontologists will one day call it, is the great success story of the Permian. This is the center of a huge scholarly debate that will last for 250 million years. Why did Lystrosaurus survive? When the great dying finally comes, when the monsters and the tanks and almost everything else on the planet is wiped out, this humble, tusked, burrowing pig cousin will famously thrive. Paleontologists still argue over the exact reason. Was it the burrowing, which allowed it to hide from the UV rays and the toxic air? Was it its efficient, barrel-chested lungs, perfectly adapted for a low-oxygen world? Was it its diet of tough, dead, and dying plant matter, the only food left? Or was it just lucky? You don't know the answer. You just know that as you watch it disappear into its freshly dug tunnel, it is the first thing you have seen in weeks that doesn't fill you with abject terror. It is just another survivor, doing the only sensible thing there is to do. You give its burrow a wide berth and continue your own, smaller, more desperate journey toward the coast. You have been walking for weeks. The scorched, smoking Glossopteris forests are behind you. The air is still thin and hot, but something has changed. The smell. It's not the dust and peppery resin of the interior. It's not the acrid, metallic tang of the volcanic haze. It's a new scent, carried on the howling 22-hour night wind. It is sharp, clean, and damp. It is the smell of salt and moisture. It's the smell of water. but not the foul, lukewarm, monster-filled water of the inland rivers. This is vast. This is ancient. You are driven by it. You are a creature of the dry, dusty interior, born and raised hundreds of miles from any coast. But your body, your very cells, recognize this smell. It is the smell of life. You scramble up a high, crumbling dune. It is not made of the soft, white sand of your distant descendants' dreams. It is made of black, abrasive volcanic rock, and the pulverized grey-white fragments of shells from creatures you have never seen. You reach the crest, your claws digging in, and you stop. You freeze. Before you, stretching from one end of the world to the other, is Panthalassa, the super ocean. It is not a sparkling blue tropical paradise. It is an endless, black, shimmering expanse of liquid darkness. This is the mainstream historical fact of your world. It is the single ocean that covers 70% of the planet. It is an almost incomprehensible void. And it is quiet. This is the most shocking, unsettling, and beautiful thing you have ever experienced. Your entire life has been a soundtrack of terror, the howl of the wind, the thud of the Gorgonopsid, the scraping of the Therocephalian, the snap of the amphibian, the roar of the forest fire. Here, there is nothing. There are no roars. There are no thuds. There are no vibrations in the black, damp sand. There is only the sound. It's a deep, rhythmic "ish" as the waves, driven by that giant racing moon, collapse on the shore. It is the sound of the planet breathing. The air here feels cleaner. The constant wind coming off this vast, open water has scrubbed the volcanic haze from the air. You take a breath, and for the first time in your life, your high-altitude lungs feel full. But the air is alien. It's thick with salt spray that stings your nose and makes your fur feel damp and heavy. You are a creature of the dry. You are a master of dust and burrows. This vast, wet nothing is terrifying in its own right. It is an environment you are not built for. It is as alien to you as the surface of the moon. You take a tentative step down the dune, your whiskers twitching, your jawbone pressed to the ground, listening, and you feel nothing. No vibrations. The Gorgonopsids are not here. The beast heads are not here. The Cynodont is not here. They are creatures of the land, and this is not the land. This is the end of the land. This is the quirky, profound tidbit of your journey. You have run out of continent. You have fled to the very edge of the world, and you have found the one thing you have never ever experienced before. You have found a place where the monsters do not hunt. You stand on that black volcanic shore, and you just listen. You listen to the of the waves and the high, thin shriek of the 22-hour night wind. And for the first time in your life, you are listening to nothing else. There is no thud. There is no scrape. There is no roar. The silence of the ocean is the single most important mainstream historical fact of your entire, miserable, terrified life. You have just stumbled upon the core premise of this strange twilight epoch, the great monster gap. For this one brief, temporary window of geologic time, the fundamental rule of the planet has been inverted. The land, your home, is a non-stop 24/7 or 22/7 horror movie, A monster manual of saber-toothed cousins, venomous diggers, and giant exploding river frogs. The land is death. The ocean is safe. Safer, anyway. You, the tiny, warm-blooded, terrified Cynodont, would have no way of knowing why. You just know that the vibrations have stopped. But 250 million years in your future, scholars will piece it together. The reason this ocean is so quiet, so tame, is not because it's a paradise. It's because it's a graveyard. You are standing on the shore of a world that is still in recovery. You are a survivor of one apocalypse in progress, who has just found the quiet, haunted battlefield of a previous one. This is the scientific evidence for your safety. The Capitanian mass extinction. About 8 million years before you were born, the planet tried to kill itself, and almost succeeded. Far away, in a place that will one day be called China, the Earth split open. A series of volcanoes known as the Inversion traps erupted, pouring out a sea of lava and choking the sky with toxic gas. It was a preview of the Siberian traps that are just now beginning to sputter to life in your own time. And that event, the Capitanian extinction, was a marine killer. It targeted the oceans, and it was devastatingly effective. The victims of that earlier apocalypse were the very things you should be afraid of. 8 million years ago, this quiet black ocean was ruled by monsters. There were giant eurypterids, the sea scorpions, 6-foot-long, armor-plated swimming nightmares with claws that could snap a Scutosaurus in half. They are gone. There were ancient giant sharks, the old guard of apex predators that had ruled the seas for 100 million years. They are gone. And most importantly, the ecosystem itself was gone. The oceans had been filled with vast, complex cities of life, massive reefs built not by coral, but by bizarre giant sponges and filter feeders. The Inversion traps erupted, the oceans turned to acid, the water choked with no oxygen, and those cities died. 90% of life in the sea was wiped out. This is the quirky, profound tidbit of your new sanctuary. The ocean is not safe because it is nice. It is safe because it is boring. It is an ecosystem on reboot. It is a post-apocalyptic world, and the only things that survived were the small, the fast-breeding, and the opportunistic. The monsters, the big, slow-growing, specialized apex predators, they were the first to go. And in the 8 million years since, there simply hasn't been enough time for new ones to re-evolve. You are standing on the shore of a vast, global nursery, filled with evolutionary weeds and small fry survivors. The monster gap isn't a lack of life. It's a lack of C-suite predators. You don't know any of this, of course. You are just a small, furry, half-starved refugee. You just know one thing. You have been walking for weeks. You are desperate for food, and for the first time, you are not the one being hunted. You take another deeper breath of the clean, salt-heavy air, and you take your first tentative step toward the waves. Your hunger is a fire in your belly. The clean, salty air is a luxury, but the gnawing, aching, expensive need to fuel your internal furnace has not gone away. You are a refugee who has just found a beautiful, quiet, empty new land, and you are now going to have to figure out how to eat it. You creep down the black sand dune, your whiskers fanned out, your nose twitching. The massive, close moon is pulling the ocean, and the tide is out. It has retreated an incredible distance, exposing a vast, pock-marked landscape of black volcanic rock riddled with pools of still black water. And these pools are not quiet. Your entire world of hearing is retuning itself. You are no longer listening for the 1,000-pound thud. You are listening to 1,000,000 tiny high-pitched skitters. The tide pools are alive. They are filled with a frantic, clicking, crawling energy. You creep to the edge of one. It is a microcosm, a little black rock bathtub, and it is swarming. You see bugs, or what your brain, evolved for the dry land, can only process as bugs. But they are not insects. You are looking at trilobites. This is the mainstream historical fact of your new buffet. You are looking at one of the greatest success stories in the history of life. These creatures, these segmented, armored seawood lice, are an ancient lineage. They were here before the Glossopteris trees, before the amphibians, before the first ever creature set foot on land. They are the ultimate survivors. They have seen other mass extinctions, other apocalypses, and they have just kept scuttling. But the creatures you see here are the last of their kind. These are the Proetida, the final, grizzled, hard-bitten survivors of a dynasty that has ruled the seafloor for 270 million years, and they are on their last legs. This is the quirky, fascinating tidbit about them. They are the most advanced and the most paranoid of their line. They are small, most no bigger than your paw, and they have perfected the art of defense. You nudge one with your nose, just a curious, hungry boop. Instantly, it vanishes. It has tucked its head, rolled its segmented body, and locked its tail plate into its face, transforming into a perfect, impenetrable, armored ball. It is the pill bug defense, invented 250 million years early. Paleontologists still argue about these creatures. They had the most complex eyes of the ancient world, lenses made of single, perfect crystals of calcite. What did the world look like through a crystal lens? Did they see you, the giant, furry monster, in a thousand-faceted, psychedelic purple haze, or just as a sudden, terrifying shadow? You don't care about their eyes. You care about your stomach. You are a Cynodont, a land creature. You are built to eat insects, grubs, and the occasional stupid reptile. This is not your food. It is alien. It is from the water. It smells of salt and otherness. But you are starving. The hunger, that great evolutionary driver, overrides your caution. You swat at the rolled-up ball. It's hard, like a rock. You bite it. Your specialized mammal-like dog teeth are not built for this. It's like chewing a pebble. You spit it out. You swat another one, a scuttling, unrolled one. You pin it. It wiggles. A frantic 270-million-year-old panic. You crush its carapace with a single quick snap of your jaws. A burst of flavor fills your mouth. It is disgusting. And it is wonderful. It is intensely salty, briny, a taste of the alien ocean. But it is also rich, dense, and packed with protein. It is pure, high-octane fuel. It is your first taste of seafood. You eat another, and another. You are a wolf in a hen house, a tiny furry badger rat set loose in a deli. And then you realize the most important thing. As you sit there, cracking shell after shell, your face dripping with alien trilobite guts, nothing is trying to eat you. This is the empty niche. The Capitanian extinction didn't just wipe out the apex predators. It wiped out the middle management predators too. There are no giant, armor-plated, shell-crushing sea scorpions here to fight you for them. There are no giant, predatory crab analogues with claws to snip you. The entire guild of shell crushers is gone. The ocean hasn't had time to re-evolve them. You have just stumbled upon an all-you-can-eat, 24/7 defenseless buffet. The safe ocean isn't just a lack of monsters, it's an abundance of food, with no one to stop you from eating it. The last survivors of an ancient dynasty are about to meet their final extinction by becoming a midnight snack for a starving, refugee mammal ancestor. You are full. It is a feeling so new, so luxurious, that you almost don't recognize it. Your internal furnace is not a screaming, aching void. It is a warm, pleasant, and quiet hum. You have eaten your fill of the trilobite bugs. You are sated. You are no longer a desperate refugee. You are now, for the first time in your life, a curious one. This new, safe, quiet world, it has more to show you. You leave the pockmarked, trilobite-filled tide pools behind and creep closer to the actual ocean, the true waterline. The of the waves is louder here, a deep, rhythmic, calming sound that drowns out the high-pitched howl of the wind. The massive, close moon is pulling the water, and the tide is still on its way out. The waves are not crashing. They are just unfolding, rolling on to the black sand with a gentle, heavy, oily-looking motion. And they are carrying things. The beach is littered with them. Not the grey, broken, dead fragments in the high-tide sand. These are whole. They are shells. But they are not the fan-shaped shells of your distant descendants' world. They are beautiful, perfect, coiled spirals. Some are as small as your claw, some as big as your head. They are opalescent, catching the dim, hazy, pre-apocalyptic light and shining with a faint mother-of-pearl sheen. You are looking at the ammonoid swarms! This is the mainstream historical fact of the boring ocean. It is teeming with life. It is just the same life, everywhere. These creatures, these squid in a shell, have completely taken over. This is the scientific evidence of the great monster gap. These ammonoids are the ultimate disaster taxa of the sea. They are the Lystrosaurus, remember your pig-sized burrowing cousin, of the ocean world. When the Capitanian extinction event killed all the monsters, all the big league predators, it also killed all the competition. And the ammonoids, with their simple, brilliant strategy, stepped into that void. Their strategy? Reproduce fast, grow fast, and die young. They are the weeds of the evolutionary garden. In the empty, quiet, predator-free ocean, their populations exploded. The water column, from the surface to the deep, is not just dotted with them. It is a soup, a thick, churning global broth of billions upon billions of these shelled, tentacled creatures. You, the land creature, have no interest in swimming. You are a Cynodont, a master of dirt, not water. You are not going to hunt these bobbing, swimming shells. You don't have to. This is the quirky, delicious tidbit of your new life. The ocean provides. The giant lunar-driven tides and the violent atmospheric tide-driven storms, they do the hunting for you. You are not a hunter here. You are a beachcomber. You are a scavenger. You walk along the wet sand and you find one. It is fresh, washed up in the last wave. It is alive. A small, squishy-looking thing is emerging from the shell's opening. A cluster of arms? Tentacles? It is trying, with a pathetic, desperate, and slow series of movements, to drag its heavy, beautiful, spiral-shelled prison back into the water. You sniff it. It smells like the trilobite, but fresher, softer. You are an intelligent mammal ancestor. You are a problem solver. You don't try to crush the shell. You learned your lesson on the trilobite. It's a fortress. But you don't need to break the fortress. You just need to get the soft, squishy king inside. You flip the ammonoid over, you pin it with your paw. You find the siphon, the soft, fleshy tube that the creature, you would have no way of knowing, uses to jet propel itself, sucking in water and shooting it out to move. It is the softest, most vulnerable part. You bite it. The creature convulses. You pull. The entire soft, slimy body detaches from the inside of the shell, and you are left with a mouthful of calamari. 250 million years early. It is soft, chewy, intensely salty, and unbelievably delicious. It is pure, unadulterated protein. It is the perfect fuel. You sit there, under the sickly yellow sky, on the edge of a quiet, black ocean, happily munching on a creature that... What was it exactly? This is the great scholarly debate. We, in your future, have millions of these fossilized shells. They are one of the most common fossils on Earth. We have almost zero fossils of the soft, squishy, tasty creature that lived inside. They rotted away too fast. Paleontologists still argue passionately over what precisely you just ate. What did the squid part look like? Did it have 10 arms, like a modern squid? Or did it have a cloud of 90 tiny, grasping, inefficient-looking arms, like its only living relative, the deep-sea nautilus? Was it a fast, aggressive hunter that used its shell as a buoyancy control device to chase prey? Or was it a slow, passive, drifting scavenger, like an underwater vulture, just bumping into things and eating them? You don't know. You don't care. You just know. It is food. The safe ocean has provided again. First, the crunchy, armored bugs in the tide pools. And now, the soft, chewy treats washed up on the beach. You are not a refugee anymore. You are a gourmet. You are no longer starving. You are feasting. You have, against all odds, found paradise. You are no longer hungry. You are no longer terrified. You are bored. And boredom, for a creature like you, is the ultimate, unimaginable luxury. It is a state of being that your high-stress, land-based ancestors never once, in all their millions of years, got to experience. This newfound freedom, this safety, makes you bold. You have mastered the tide pools, with their crunchy trilobite bugs. You have mastered the beach, with its soft, washed-up ammonoid treats. Now you look at the water itself. The tide is beginning to turn, the massive, close moon now past its zenith and beginning its rapid descent toward the horizon. The water is rising. You are not a swimmer, not a creature of the sea, but the water here, in the shallows, is warm. The mainstream historical fact is that the Lapingian is a hothouse world, and the equatorial oceans are almost like a bath. You wade in. Your fur, which is designed for a dry, dusty world, slicks against your skin. The feeling is strange, heavy. You paddle, your claws finding purchase on the black, volcanic sand. You are only in up to your chest, but you are in. You are a land animal, a master of digging, who is now voluntarily paddling. And you look down. The water is clear, and the bright, oversized moon, even through the thin volcanic haze, illuminates the bottom. You are looking at a forest. It is not a forest of Glossopteris trees, or any tree you have ever seen. It is a dense, waving, beautiful garden of flowers. They look like lilies, with long, sturdy stems anchored to the rock, and a blossom on top, a delicate, feathery, fan-like head that sways and pulses in the gentle current. These are the crinoids, the sea lilies. But here is the scientific evidence, the secret of this alien garden. They are not plants. You are looking at a forest of animals. You are a Cynodont. Your brain is a new, high-powered, warm-blooded machine. You know plant. You know animal. Plant is the dry, peppery Glossopteris leaf you can't digest. Animal is the trilobite you can digest, the Inostransevia that wants to digest you. This thing breaks your brain. It is an echinoderm, a relative of a starfish. It is an animal, anchored to the rock for its entire adult life. That feathery blossom is not a flower. It is a set of arms, sticky with mucus, that it holds aloft to filter feed, passively catching tiny microscopic bits of sea snow that drift by in the water. This is the quirky, profound tidbit of your new, safe world. The Lapingian sea floor, in the shallows, was not a world of coral reefs and darting fish. It was a planet of the crinoids. The Capitanian extinction had wiped out all their competitors, and these passive, filter-feeding flower animals had inherited the seabed. The bottom of the ocean, as far as you can see, is covered in these vast, dense, silent, beautiful meadows of waving, feathery animals. And this is the final, unsettling realization. This is the contrast that defines your new life. You come from a world of eat or be eaten, a world of action, a world of sound, a world defined by the thud, the scrape, the sprint, the bite. It is a world of verbs. This new world, it just is. It is a world of nouns. It is passive. It is still. It waits. It filters. You, the warm, fast, high metabolism, big-brained, problem-solving refugee. You are standing in a forest of creatures that are, in their own way, more alien than the saber-toothed monster that hunted you. The danger here is not being eaten. The danger is the alienness. The danger is the profound, unsettling stillness of it all. You have found safety, but it is the safety of a museum, of a dream. You are an air-breathing, hot-blooded engine of life, and you have found yourself in a cold, silent, beautiful world of statues that just happen to be alive. You back out of the waving, feathery, alien forest of animal flowers, your warm, fast mammal brain buzzing with a kind of sensory overload. You are a creature of action in a world of passivity. You are a verb in a land of nouns. You have found the ultimate sanctuary, but it is one that feels wrong. You wade back to the shore, the water lapping at your fur, and you shake yourself dry. The salt spray feels strange, crusty. You are, for the moment, sated. The trilobites were the appetizer. The ammonoid calamari was the main course. You are no longer driven by the need for fuel. You are just here. And so, you decide to explore. You trot along the water's edge, a tiny, furry, warm-blooded king on a black sand beach. You are the apex predator of this strange, quiet, new kingdom. You come across a larger tide pool, one that's almost a small lake, trapped by the receding tide. It's a deep, dark, volcanic rock basin, 50 feet across, and something is moving in it. This is not a skitter. This is not a crawl. This is a glide. A shadow, long and sinuous, detaches itself from the far side of the pool and cruises with a slow, languid, confident motion toward the center. It is a fish, but it is big. It is at least as long as you are, maybe longer. 6 feet? This is a hybodont. This is a shark. Your 250-million-year-old instincts, the ones hardwired into your DNA from the true ancient world, all scream at once. Shark, water, monster, danger. You leap back from the edge of the pool, your fur on end, your heart, which had been humming at a pleasant, full-bellied idle, now jackhammering against your ribs. You have found the monster. You knew it. You knew this was too good to be true. The paradise is a lie. The ocean is death. But the shark doesn't do anything. It just keeps gliding. It isn't coming for you. It isn't thrashing. It hasn't exploded from the water. It just is. This is the scientific evidence that underpins your entire safe world. The real monster, the A-list celebrity of Permian terror, is long gone. The mainstream historical fact is that the famous, terrifying buzzsaw shark Helicoprion, the 25-foot-long predator with a spinning spiral saw blade of teeth in its lower jaw, was a victim of that earlier Capitanian extinction. It is extinct. It is a ghost. The buzzsaw shark niche is as empty as the Gorgon face niche will be in your future. The creature in the pool, this hybodont, is the new king of the ocean. And it is pathetic. It is not an apex predator. It is a generalist. It is a scavenger. Paleontologists still debate their exact diet, but their teeth tell the story. They have small, sharp grippers at the front, and flat, pavement-like crushers at the back. This is not the specialized slicing and dicing weaponry of an Inostrancevia or a great white. This is the jack-of-all-trades multi-tool of a creature that eats, well, whatever it can find. A washed-up ammonoid, a sick fish, a cluster of sea lilies, a trilobite. It is the coyote of the sea, not the wolf. And you, the warm-blooded, fast-moving, big-brained mammal ancestor, you are still watching it. It glides, it loops, it circles. It is not hunting. It is looking. And now, the quirky, unbelievable tidbit. The great inversion of your world, the entire premise of your 250-million-year-old vacation, is about to be demonstrated in person. You are still hungry. Well, not starving to death hungry, but it would be nice to top off the tank hungry. And that tide pool is full of trilobites, the crunchy bugs you now associate with a free meal. You are a Cynodont. You are a mammal ancestor. You are brave. Or at least your hunger is braver than your fear. You creep back to the edge of the pool. The shark is on the far side. You dip your paw in and snag a trilobite, pulling it onto the rock. You crack it. Crunch. Delicious. The vibration of the crunch, the splash of your paw, has attracted the shark's attention. The long 6-foot shadow stops gliding. It turns. It is now facing you. It is coming. It's not a rush. It's a slow, curious, accelerating glide. It's coming right for you. It thinks you are food. Or, more likely, it thinks your paw, splashing in the water, is a wounded, stupid fish. An easy meal. This is it. The moment. Land predator versus sea predator. The shark comes in, its nose lifting, its mouth, which is comically on the bottom of its head, opening, showing rows of its tiny multi-tool teeth. It is not a terrifying, gaping maw. It is a nibble. It is coming to nibble your paw. You are a Cynodont. You have spent your entire life escaping creatures that can swallow you whole. Creatures with 6-inch, serrated steak knife teeth. Creatures that can dig you out of the ground. Creatures with venom. This monster is a joke. You are not scared. You are insulted. The shark comes in for the nibble. And you, in a burst of pure, warm-blooded, land-based rage, do the unthinkable. You lunge, you snap, you bark. A harsh, guttural coughing sound of pure, high-metabolism fury. Your specialized mammal-like dog teeth, the canines that gave your whole lineage its name, snap down on the shark's nose. You just bit a shark. The shark, this apex predator of the new, tame ocean, convulses. It has no idea what just happened. Nothing in its entire evolutionary history has ever bitten it back. It goes into a blind, cold-blooded, primitive panic. It flees, it thrashes, it twists. It squirts itself backwards with a powerful thrust of its tail, slamming its side against the far wall of the tide pool in its desperation to get away from you. It dives to the deepest, darkest part of the pool under a rocky ledge and hides. You stand there. Your paw is wet. Your fur is standing on end. Your mouth tastes of salt and shark cartilage. The inversion is total. The rule of the planet is broken. You, the small, furry, burrowing mammal ancestor. You are the apex predator. You are the monster. The land is a nightmare of death, ruled by your giant saber-toothed cousins. The water. The water is a buffer, and its king is a 6-foot coward who is now, at this very second, hiding from you. You are the terror. You are the monster of the tide pools. You are the undisputed 6-pound fur-covered king of the coastal buffet. This new, impossible reality settles over you, and with it comes a new routine. Your life is no longer a frantic, minute-to-minute panic, a desperate sprint from one hiding place to the next. Your life now has a rhythm, a deep, slow, predictable pulse that is governed by the giant racing moon. You dig a new burrow. This is the mainstream historical fact of your existence. You are a digger. It is your one true superpower. You excavate a deep, complex, multi-room tunnel, not in the hard-baked, dusty clay of the interior, but in the soft, damp, black, volcanic sand of the high dunes. It's the best burrow you have ever had. It's easy to dig. It's cool inside. And the air, filtered through the damp, salty sand, is clean and moist and perfect for your efficient, high-altitude lungs. Your life is now dictated by the tides. That massive, close moon pulls the black ocean with a visible, powerful grip. When the moon is high, the tide surges in, a vast, foaming, angry wall of water that smashes against the dunes. This is your hide time. You are in your burrow, full-bellied, safe, and you are sleeping. not in a state of terrified torpor, but in a deep, luxurious, true sleep. And when the moon sets, the tide races out, as if a giant plug has been pulled. The ocean retreats for miles, exposing the vast, black, glistening delicatessen of the seafloor. This is your go time. You emerge, rested and hungry, and you walk, not sprint, down to the tide pools for your crunchy trilobite bugs, and you scavenge the beach for your soft ammonoid treats. You live by this clock. Low tide is for feasting. High tide is for sleeping. It is a perfect, sustainable, safe life. Until the thud comes back. It is a feeling you have not felt in weeks, and your entire nervous system goes into a state of shock. You are asleep in your dune burrow, in the middle of the day. The hot, bright, 22-hour sun is high, and the high tide is lapping at the beach below, and you feel it. Thud. A vibration, but not the light, fast, slicing predator vibration of Inostrancevia. This is heavier, slower, more ponderous. Thud! You scramble to your burrow's peephole, a tiny hidden shaft that looks out over the beach. And you see it. It is not Inostrancevia. It is Rubidgia. This is the other apex predator of your world. This is the scientific evidence that complicates the monster picture. The Lopingian was not ruled by one king. It was ruled by two. Rubidgia is also a Gorgonopsid, but it is a different kind of killer. It is not a tiger. It is a grizzly bear. Where Inostrancevia was sleek, fast, and built for a bite and retreat slice, Rubidgia is a brute. It is shorter, thicker, and immensely more powerful. Its skull is not a delicate knife delivery system. It is a battering ram, thick-boned and robust. Paleontologists still argue passionately about this. This is the great niche partitioning, scholarly debate of the late Permian. How did two different, bus-sized, saber-toothed apex predators coexist? How did they not drive each other to extinction? The quirky leading tidbit of a theory is a division of labor. They had different jobs. Inostrancevia, the fast hunter, was a specialist in faster-moving prey, or a generalist. Rubidgia, the heavy brute, was a specialist. It was the tank buster. It was the only creature on the planet purpose-built to hunt the Scutosaurus. Remember the 1-ton armored shield lizard you saw get bled out? Rubidgia didn't need to bleed them out. It had the sheer, bone-crushing power to just smash them, to shatter their armor, to break their skulls. And this tank buster, is now, for some reason, patrolling your beach. Thud. It walks along the high tide line, its massive, bear-like head swinging low. It is sniffing the washed-up ammonoid shells, the ones you were planning to eat. And then, you see the realization. The moment that changes your world. The Rubidgia stops. It is standing at the very edge of the water, where the high tide waves are foaming and hissing. It looks at the water. It snarls at it. A low, wet, furious sound. A wave breaks, bigger than the others, and splashes its front feet. The half-ton, bone-crushing, saber-toothed grizzly bear monster leaps back. It flinches. It shakes its massive paws in disgust, as if it has stepped in something foul. It is a creature of the land, of the dust, of solid ground. It is a masterpiece of continental engineering. And this wet, moving, loud, salty thing, it hates. It looks at the ocean, that vast, black, food-filled pantry, and it does not see the trilobites. It does not see the ammonoids. It does not see the cowardly sharks. It does not see food. It sees a vast, wet, useless, terrifying void. It is an alien world that it cannot hunt, cannot understand, and will not enter. The safe ocean is not safe just because it's empty of its own monsters. The safe ocean is safe because it is your shield. It is a fortress. It is a 200 million square mile no trespassing sign, written in a language that the true monsters of the land cannot read, but instinctively obey. They haven't learned to swim. They haven't learned to fish. The Rubidgea gives the hissing water one last, disgusted, hateful snort, and then it turns, thudding its way back up the dunes, back into the hot, dry, glossopteris-filled interior that it understands. You are safe. You are a master of two worlds. You sleep in your land burrow, which is too small for the monsters, and you eat from the ocean pantry, which is too alien for them. You have found the perfect evolutionary crack in the world, and you are living in it. You are the master of this new two-part world. You are the king of the in-between. You are, perhaps, the safest, most well-fed, and most relaxed Cynodont on the entire supercontinent of Pangaea. Your life, this perfect rhythmic existence of sleeping in the dune fortress and eating from the ocean buffet, gives you time to do something no ancestor of yours has ever done. It gives you time to think. You sit at the mouth of your burrow, the high tide, sssss, a comforting background noise, and you review the world. You have a big, new, warm-blooded brain, and you are a master of threat assessment. You have created a bestiary of the land, a mental checklist of the reasons you left the interior. Horror number 1. Inostransevia, the slicer. The tiger-sized, fast, saber-toothed cousin who hunts with a surgical bite-and-bleed attack. Horror number 2. Rubidgea, the brute. The bear-sized, bone-crushing cousin who acts as a specialized tank buster. Horror number 3. The Therocephalians, the beast heads. A whole guild of terror, from the jaguar-sized Moscohinus to the Megahyetsia, the one you are pretty sure was venomous. Horror number 4. Uranocentrodon, the river trap. The 13-foot exploding frog monster that makes fresh water a death sentence. Horror number 5. Chronosuchus. This is one you only glimpsed, a mainstream historical fact of the rivers. A 9-foot-long, armored, alligator-like reptile. That wasn't a reptile. That patrolled the banks the Uranocentrodon didn't. The land is full. It is an ecosystem that has become top-heavy with terror. It is a world where 3 different branches of life, Gorgonopsids, Therocephalians, and giant amphibians, all evolved simultaneously to be the apex predator. It is a non-stop, overlapping nightmare of claws, fangs, venom, and armor. And then you review your new bestiary of the ocean. Monster number 1, the hybodont shark, a 6-foot coward, a king of the sea that you, a 6-pound mammal ancestor, bit on the nose and made it hide. Monster number 2, the trilobites, the crunchy, skittering roll-up bugs that are your primary food source. Monster number 3, the ammonoids, the soft, chewy, squid-in-a-shell treats that the ocean delivers to your doorstep for free. The ocean, by contrast, is empty. It is a world that is bottom-heavy with food. It is a global pantry, and its only guard dog is a timid 6-foot shark that you have already personally bullied. This is the great scholarly debate of your era, the one that paleontologists 250 million years in your future will have. Is this relative safety real, or is it an illusion? Paleontologists still argue that this is an argument from absence. They say, just because we haven't found the fossils of a giant Lapingian sea monster doesn't mean it wasn't there. Maybe there was a 50-foot helicoprion relative that just hasn't been discovered yet. Maybe the safe ocean is just a gap in our knowledge. But the evidence we do have is overwhelming. The scientific evidence of the Capitanian extinction is clear. The old monsters were wiped out. The new ecosystem is dominated by disaster taxa. The ammonoids, the crinoids, and generalists, the hybodont shark. The evidence strongly points to this one, strange, quiet, boring window of time. You are the living proof. Your full belly is the evidence. And yet, this is the quirky, fatal tidbit. This entire perfect balanced system, this separation of deadly land and safe water, has a catch. It has a fatal flaw. The ocean is safe because it is stable. It is a vast, calm chemical and thermal cushion, and it is slowly, predictably recovering. The land is deadly because it is unstable. It is an ecosystem in a frantic high-stakes arms race driven by a changing climate, thinning air, and a failing food web. The fatal flaw is that the instability of the land is not going to stay on the land. The thing that is making the Glossopteris trees sick, the thing that is putting that metallic tang in the air, it is not just part of the land's instability, it is the instability. The real monster isn't Rubidia or Inostransphia. The real monster is the land itself, the geology, and the instability of the land, the real, true, planet-killing instability, is about to boil the safe, stable ocean and kill everything in it. You, the tiny, warm-blooded, beach-combing Cynodont, are the living embodiment of the single strangest, most unbalanced, and most temporary state of affairs in this planet's history. You are the great walking paradox. Let's just, for a moment, review the teams. Let's look at the monster manual you have been living in, just to appreciate how stacked the decks have become. This is the land bestiary, the team you left behind. The kings, Inostransevia and Rubidia. Two different guilds of saber-toothed, bus-sized, warm-blooded, high-metabolism Gorgonopsid apex predators. One is a slicer, one is a brute. The middle management, the Therocephalians. A diverse, adaptable, and smart group of beast-heads, ranging from digging weasels to jaguar-sized hunters, some of which were almost certainly venomous. The freshwater division, Uranosentrodon and Chronosuchus. A 13-foot vacuum-mouthed exploding amphibian and a 9-foot armored alligator analog just to make getting a drink of water a life-or-death gamble. The land is full. It is a world choking on its own monsters. It is a top-heavy ecosystem, a pyramid that is all point and very little base. And now, let's look at the ocean bestiary, your new, safe home. The king, a single 6-foot hybodont shark, a generalist scavenger, a creature so timid, so unused to conflict, that you, a 6-pound mammal ancestor, personally bit it on the face and made it run away and hide. The minions, Trilobites and Ammonoids. the disaster taxa of the sea. An endless global all-you-can-eat buffet of crunchy bugs and soft calamari, with no one else competing for them. The ocean is empty. It is a bottom-heavy ecosystem. It is a pyramid that is all base and no point. This is the monster gap in its entirety, and it leads to the great scholarly debate. Is this safety real, or is it an illusion? For 250 million years in your future, paleontologists will argue passionately about this very premise. Some will say, this is an argument from absence. Just because we haven't found the fossils of a giant Lapingian sea monster doesn't mean it wasn't there. They will argue that the ocean is always scarier, and our fossil record is just incomplete. But the scientific evidence from the rocks, the evidence you are living, is overwhelming. The Capitanian extinction did happen. The old monsters were wiped out. The new ecosystem is dominated by disaster taxa, the ammonoids, the crinoids, and generalists, the hybodont shark. The evidence strongly points to this one strange, quiet, boring window of time. You are the living proof. Your full belly is the evidence. And yet this is the quirky, fatal tidbit. This entire perfect, balanced system, this separation of deadly land and safe water, has a catch. It has a fatal flaw. The ocean is safe because it is stable. It is a vast, calm, chemical and thermal cushion, and it is slowly, predictably recovering. The land is deadly because it is unstable. It is an ecosystem in a frantic high-stakes arms race, driven by a changing climate, thinning air, and a failing food web. The fatal flaw is that the instability of the land is not going to stay on the land. The thing that is making the Glossopteris trees sick, the thing that is putting that metallic tang in the air, it is not just part of the land's instability. It is the instability. The real monster isn't Rubidia or Inostrancevia. The real monster is the land itself, the geology. And the instability of the land, the real, true, planet-killing instability, is about to boil the safe, stable ocean and kill everything in it. Your perfect, safe coastal life is an illusion. It is a brief, lucky window, and you can feel that window slamming shut. The mainstream historical fact is that your era, the Lapingian, does not end. It is terminated. The background radiation of the apocalypse, that metallic tang in the air, that sickly yellow sky, that was just the overture. Now the main event begins. Far to the north, in the heart of the supercontinent, in a place that will one day be called Siberia, the planet tears itself open. This is the Siberian traps. This is the Great Dying. This is not one volcano, not a Vesuvius or a St. Helens. That is a mountain that explodes. This is a continent that leaks. This is a flood basalt, the single largest volcanic event in the last 500 million years. The scientific evidence is staggering. It is not an eruption. It is a million-year crisis. The ground splits open in a series of fissures, some hundreds of miles long, and lava, not thick, cone-building lava, but thin, runny, molten rock, simply pours out. It pours out for hundreds of thousands of years. It will, by the time it is done, cover an area the size of modern-day Australia in a layer of black volcanic rock 3 miles thick. You are a tiny, furry creature, thousands of miles away. On a beach, you cannot see the lava, you cannot hear the explosions, but you are the first to feel the effects. Because this million-square-mile ocean of lava is not erupting in a vacuum. It is erupting through one of the largest coal and oil deposits on the planet. It is burning its way, boiling its way, through trillions of tons of carbon-rich rock. And all of that carbon, all of that sulfur, all of that chlorine is being shot instantly into the sky. The hazy, brownish-yellow sky you were used to, that is gone. You wake up from your burrow one day, and the sky is opaque. It is a permanent, choking, sulphurous fog, a greasy, brown-black ceiling that has blotted out the sun. The giant racing moon, it is gone. You cannot see it. You are now living in a world of permanent, dim, filthy twilight. And then it starts to rain. This is the quirky, terrifying tidbit. This is the chemical apocalypse. That sulfur dioxide, billions of tons of it, hits the upper atmosphere, mixes with the water vapor, and it begins to rain sulfuric acid. This is not slightly acidic rain that bothers fish. This is a weak but persistent acid that is acidic enough to burn leaves. You poke your head out of your burrow, and the rain stings your wet nose. It makes your eyes water. Your fur, which is perpetually damp from the sea air, now feels sticky and sour. The world doesn't end in fire and brimstone. It starts by dissolving. You are a tiny, warm-blooded, advanced creature, and you are cowering in your burrow, not from a monster of flesh, but from the sky itself, as your entire planet is slowly, chemically, and inescapably pickled. This chemical rain, this planet-wide acid bath, is the true kill mechanism. The land, your old, terrifying home, is the first to die. You are safe in your dune burrow, but you can smell it. The wind, which used to carry the clean scent of the salt ocean, is now mixed with a new, foul odor. It is the smell of rot. It is the mainstream historical fact of the great dying. The defonation of the planet. Those vast, monotonous, glossopteris forests, the seed ferns, that were the tough, leathery backbone of the entire Pangaean ecosystem. They are not built for this. They are not evolved to be pressure-washed 24/7 by sulfuric acid. The acid burns their leaves. It poisons the soil. The scientific evidence is in the fossil record, a layer of rock where the pollen from these trees, which had dominated the world for 40 million years, simply stops. It vanishes. The glossopteris forests die, not in a glorious, cleansing fire, but in a slow, wet rot. They are defoliated, their leaves turning a sick, acid-burned yellow, then black, then sloughing off into a mushy, acidic sludge on the ground. The entire continent-spanning forest ecosystem collapses, and with it goes the food web. Remember the tanks and the bunkers? Remember Scootosaurus, the 1-ton armored walking fortress? Remember Lystrosaurus, your pig-sized, tusked, burrowing cousin? They were herbivores. Their entire existence was based on eating the glossopteris trees. Their food is gone. It is not just scarce, it is gone, dissolved, rotted, and poisoned. They begin to starve. You, in your coastal paradise, are still eating trilobites and ammonoids. You are, for the moment, fine. But the creatures of the interior are now living in a world of total famine. And this is the quirky, terrifying tidbit. What happens when the predators starve? The Inostrancevia, the Rubidgea, the Therocephalians. Their entire business model was based on hunting the tanks and the bunkers. Their prey is now dying. They are starving, their massive, warm-blooded, high-metabolism furnaces screaming for fuel in a world that has no fuel left to give. The world of the monsters does not end with a whimper. It ends in a final, desperate orgy of violence. The ecosystem collapses from the bottom up, but it is felt from the top down. The Gorgonopsids, in their final, starving, acid-soaked days, become more dangerous, not less. The rules of the monster world are broken. Paleontologists still debate the specifics of this apocalypse behavior, but the theories are grim. The Rubidgea is no longer a specialist tank buster. It is a, what is that moving I will eat it buster. The Inostrancevia is no longer a bite and retreat hunter. It is a charge and maul hunter. They are hunting anything. They are hunting each other. The fossil record is rife with evidence of cannibalism. And they are hunting you. Before you were vermin. You were a tiny, insignificant, burrow-dwelling creature, not worth the calories for a 1,000-pound monster to dig you out. You were beneath them. Not anymore. A creature with an empty, aching 1,000-pound stomach will spend an hour digging for a 6-pound snack. The thuds are back, but they are not the confident, patrolling thuds of a king. They are the frantic, desperate, sniffing, digging thuds of an addict. A starving monster, its fur matted and burned by the acid rain, its saber teeth chipped, has followed your scent to the coast. It has realized, in its final, starving, apocalyptic madness, that the ocean is where the food is. It is digging at your burrow. It is clawing at the acid-soaked sand, roaring in a high, thin, desperate keen. The land apocalypse has found you. It has followed you, all the way to the edge of the world. The ground shakes. The desperate, starving Gorgonopsid, its fur slick with acid rain, is ripping the dune apart. You are trapped. The land, your old, hated, monster-filled home, has come to reclaim you. The acid rain stings your nose inside your burrow. There is nowhere to go. The land is a starving monster. The sky is a chemical fire. There is one place, the place that has always been your shield, the ocean. You scramble down your deepest emergency tunnel, the one that exits low on the dune, near the high tide line. You burst out onto the beach, into the dim, sulphurous, permanent twilight. The Gorgonopsid roars. It has seen you. It is a weak, thin, desperate sound, but it is still the roar of a 1,000-pound predator. You sprint toward the waves. You will lose the monster in the water. It hates the water. It is your shield. You hit the shoreline, your tiny, powerful legs pumping, and you plunge into the shallows. And the water is hot. It is not warm. It is not a bath. It is scalding. This is the scientific evidence of the second stage apocalypse. The hot tub ocean. The Siberian traps are not just pumping out sulfur, they are pumping out trillions of tons of carbon dioxide. This CO2 has, in the space of a few thousand years, created a runaway greenhouse effect. The air is hot. The thick, soupy, brown-black clouds are trapping all the planet's heat. And that heat is being absorbed, day after day, by the ocean. The mainstream historical fact is that sea surface temperatures, at the equator where you live, have skyrocketed. They have reached 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The water you have just dived into, your safe shield, is a fever dream. It is scalding your fur, burning your skin. You recoil, yelping in pain, but the Gorgonopsid is right behind you, driven by a madness and hunger that has finally overcome its fear of the water. You are forced back in. You paddle, frantically, your body screaming in protest. And you realize the second problem. The water stings. This is the other CO2 effect. The scientific evidence is undeniable. The acid ocean. The trillions of tons of CO2 in the air are not just trapping heat. They are dissolving in the water, mixing with H2O to create H2CO3. Carbonic acid. The entire global superocean is becoming a vast, hot, acidic bath. This is the quirky, horrifying tidbit. Your safe world is boiling. Your safe tide pools. You look over, and they are literally bubbling, not just with heat, but with a faint chemical fizz as the acid water reacts with the shells. Your food is dissolving. The trilobites, their hard calcite carapaces are pitting and melting in the acid. The ammonoids, the babies, the microscopic larvae floating in the water. They cannot form shells at all. They are jelly. They are dying in their billions. A global genocide by chemistry. The vast, feathery animal gardens of the crinoids. They are a slimy, disintegrating mush. Their calcite stems are dissolving, and they are collapsing in their trillions into a carpet of grey, decomposing goop on the ocean floor. The premise is over. The safe ocean is a lie. It is gone. It is in every way deadlier than the land. The Gorgonopsid is a monster of flesh and blood. You can hide from it. You can outsmart it. This hot, acidic, toxic ocean, this is a monster of physics. It is a monster of chemistry. You cannot hide from it. You cannot bite it on the nose. It is everywhere. It is the water. You are trapped. You are standing in knee-deep, 104-degree acidic water. Behind you, a starving, half-mad, acid-burned, saber-toothed monster is wading in, roaring at the pain, but still coming. You are in a trap with no exit. The land monster is behind you. The chemical monster is in front of you. And you, a creature of air, an engine built for oxygen, have just realized the final, most terrifying part of this new, dead ocean. You can't breathe. The air at the surface of the water is not the clean, salty spray you were used to. It is a thick, shimmering, putrid fog. This is the scientific evidence for the final stage kill mechanism. Ocean anoxia. The 104-degree hot tub water has a fatal physical flaw. Hot water cannot hold dissolved gas. It cannot hold oxygen. The entire super ocean, from the deeps to the shallows, is suffocating. The water is anoxic. It is a vast, global liquid void. And as you've learned on land, if you create a void, something will evolve to fill it. The normal oxygen-breathing life, the fish, the ammonoids, the trilobites, is dead or dying. But new life is taking over. This is the quirky, skin-crawling tidbit, the rise of the anaerobic bacteria. These are ancient, primitive life forms that have been hiding in the mud, in the deep-sea vents, in the anoxic slime of the world for 1 billion years, waiting. They do not breathe oxygen. Oxygen is poison to them. They breathe sulfur. And now, the hot, acidic, oxygen-free ocean, it is their paradise. They are thriving. They are blooming. Their populations are exploding in the warm, dead water, a global plague of sulfur-eating microbes. And their waste product, the exhaust from their global bacterial party, is hydrogen sulfide. You, the warm-blooded Cynodont, are suddenly submerged, nose level, in a thick, invisible cloud of poison gas. This is the mainstream historical fact of the Great Dying. It stank. The entire ocean, your safe world, has begun to stink of rotten eggs. It is a choking, gagging, lethal smell. A poisonous fog that is bubbling up from the water and killing any land life near the shore. The starving Gorgonopsid behind you, it stops. It roars, that thin, desperate, starving sound, and the roar turns into a cough, a deep, wet, gurgling hack. The monster, its high metabolism, 1,000-pound body screaming for oxygen, has just inhaled a lungful of pure hydrogen sulfide. The poison instantly binds to its blood, shutting down its respiratory system. It staggers. It looks confused. Its eyes, which were moments ago laser-focused on you, go dull and glassy. It takes one more stumbling, drunk step into the hot, toxic sulfur soup, and it collapses. It falls, sideways, with a colossal splash, sending a wave of 104-degree, acidic, poison-laced water washing over you. It thrashes once, a massive, muscular convulsion, and then it is still. A 1,000-pound, saber-toothed monster. Dead. Not by your teeth, not by a bigger monster, but killed instantly by the smell of your safe ocean. And you look out, your own lungs burning, your eyes streaming, and you see the final, terrible visual. This is the great scholarly debate, the purple ocean theory. These sulfur-eating bacteria, they are purple. Their pigment is a deep, oily, pinkish purple. And as you look out at your safe world, the water is no longer black. The entire ocean, as far as you can see, from horizon to horizon, has visibly turned a sickly, oily, shimmering purple-pink. You are standing in a global ocean of hot, acidic, toxic purple soup, floating in which is the fresh, half-dissolved, sulfur-smelling corpse of the single most terrifying monster you have ever seen. You have won. You are safe. The monster is dead. You are the last living thing, standing in the middle of a poisonous purple hell. You stand there, trembling, your fur singed by the 104-degree acidic, purple water, your lungs burning from the rotten egg stink of the hydrogen sulfide. The colossal saber-toothed corpse of the Gorgonopsid, your lifelong boogeyman, is floating, dissolving, just feet away from you. You have won. You have survived the land monster, and by a cruel chemical miracle, you have survived the sea monster. But the planet is not finished with you. The apocalypse is not a single event. It is a cascade. It is a symphony of kill mechanisms, and the final silent instrument is just now beginning to play. The sky, that permanent, soupy, brown-black ceiling of sulphurous fog, has been a source of terror. It has rained acid that burns your nose and skin. It has choked the world, hiding the sun and the giant, racing moon. But that thick, soupy fog, it has been hiding the final and perhaps most insidious killer. This is the scientific evidence from the deep rock layers. The Siberian traps, that million-year ocean of lava, did not just pump out CO2 for the heat and sulfur for the acid rain. It also blasted into the upper atmosphere a cocktail of halogens, chlorine, bromine, compounds that have one simple, terrifyingly efficient job. They destroy ozone. The mainstream historical fact is that the planet's sunscreen, the delicate, invisible ozone layer that had protected life for 1 billion years, has just been shredded. It is gone, not thinned, gone. And the thick, brown, soupy clouds, they do not block what is coming. They block the visible light, plunging your world into a dim, filthy twilight. But they are transparent to the invisible light. UVB and UVC radiation. The hard, high-energy DNA shredding part of the sun. It is now pouring through that chemical haze, unfiltered. The sun, which you cannot even see, has just been turned into an invisible death ray. The quirky, skin-crawling tidbit of your new life is this: you cannot go outside in the day. It is not just hot anymore. It is not just stinging from the acid rain. It will cook you. It will give you, and every other living thing, fatal, cancerous, third-degree burns in minutes. You are a creature of the 22-hour night. You were already hiding from the sun because of their 95-degree heat. But now, you are hiding from it because it is an active weapon. And this is the great filter. Paleontologists still argue, passionately, over which kill mechanism was the primary one. Was it the heat? Was it the acid rain? Was it the anoxic, purple, rotten egg ocean? The truth is, it was all of them. It was a perfect storm of death, a planetary murder on the Orient Express where every suspect had a knife. But the UV radiation, this was the filter. This was the mechanism that sorted the survivors from the dead. Think about it. Any creature that lived on the surface of the land is now being microwaved. Its skin is burning, its eyes are going blind, and its DNA is being unwritten, turning into a cancerous mush. Any plant that somehow survived the acid rain is now having its leaves, its very ability to photosynthesize, sterilized by the UV rays. The land is not just dead, it is scoured. So, who survives? Who survives a world where the water is a hot, acidic purple poison, and the air is a chemical fire, and the sunlight is a death ray? Not the tanks, like Scutosaurus. They lived in the open. They are burned to death, cooked inside their own armor. Not the Inostrancevia or Rubidgea. Even if the toxic ocean hadn't gotten them, they were too big to hide. They lived and hunted in the open. They are blinded, burned, and sterilized. The filter only lets two kinds of creatures pass through. 1. Things that live in deep water, but the water is dead, so this is a dead end. 2. Things that are already nocturnal and already live in deep, complex underground burrows. You, the small, cowardly, furry, warm-blooded, hole-dwelling Cynodont, and your pig-sized, tusked, bunker-specialist cousin, Lystrosaurus. Your weakness, your cowardice, your entire vermin-like lifestyle of hiding from the monsters has, by a brutal twist of planetary scale irony, just become the single most advanced and successful survival strategy on Earth. You have been selected. The great, terrible UV filter is killing everything that is not you. You drag yourself out of the scalding, toxic purple soup, your lungs seizing, your skin screaming, your eyes streaming. You have just witnessed the land monster be instantly executed by the ocean monster. There is no safety. There is no in-between. There is no paradise. Nowhere is left. The land, your old home, is a scorched, acid-burned, UV-blasted wasteland, prowled by the last desperate, starving, mad survivors, like the Gorgonopsid that just died in front of you. The sea, your new home, your safe buffet, has betrayed you. It has become a hot, acidic, anoxic, purple, poisonous bath that kills with a single breath. The sky, the very air itself, is a chemical weapon. It is a 1-2 punch of sulfuric acid that burns your skin and hydrogen sulfide that poisons your blood. And the sun, which you cannot even see, is a death ray, an invisible, DNA-shredding cancer blaster that is microwaving the surface of the planet. The land is fire, the sea is poison, the air is toxic, the sky is radioactive. The entire concept of an environment has been deleted. You are a small, warm-blooded, terrified creature, and you have finally run out of planet. There is no safe place on the surface of the earth, so you do the only thing you know how to do, the one cowardly, genius thing that your entire lineage has perfected. You retreat! You turn your back on the stinking purple ocean. You turn your back on the floating, dissolving corpse of the Gorgonopsid. You scramble, in the dim, sulphurous twilight, back to your burrow in the dune. But you don't just go in. This is not a sleep. This is a burial. You dig. You don't just hide, you excavate. You scramble down your main tunnel, past your sleeping chamber, past your peephole, and you go deep. You dig with a frantic, desperate, instinctive energy. You are not just hiding from the monsters, you are hiding from the world. You dig until your claws are raw. You dig until your efficient high-altitude lungs are burning from the effort. You dig until you are feet below the acid-soaked, UV-blasted sand. And then you turn around. You use your snout and your paws, and you backfill the tunnel. You collapse it. You create a solid, thick plug of compacted, damp sand, sealing yourself in. You have just locked the door. You have just buried yourself alive. You are now in a small, black, sealed pocket of damp sand deep beneath the surface of the apocalypse. The air is stale. It is hot, and it is yours. It is the only clean air left on the planet. And you wait! This is the scientific evidence for your survival. You go into torpor. It's a state that scholars still argue over. Is it hibernation, for the cold, or estivation, for the heat and drought? The answer for you is yes. It is a shutdown. Your revolutionary, expensive superpower of a warm-blooded furnace. You turn it off. Your metabolism, that frantic fuel-hungry engine, you dial it down to almost nothing. Your heart, which was jackhammering just minutes ago, slows. The thump. One beat every 10 seconds. Your breathing in the small, sealed, oxygen-limited pocket slows to a single shallow sip of air every minute. You are not asleep. You are paused. You have become a living fossil, a seed of the future, waiting for the winter of the world to pass. This is the quirky, profound tidbit of your entire existence. You are living beneath the apocalypse. While you are paused in your dark, deep, self-imposed tomb, the surface of the world, just a few feet above your head, is experiencing the full horror. This is the mainstream historical fact of the Permian-Triassic extinction. While you are asleep, the Cynodont, the 13-foot exploding frog monster, is boiled alive in its river, which has become a hot, acidic, anoxic soup. The Therocephalians, the venomous beast heads, are blinded by the UV radiation, choked by the hydrogen sulfide, and starved to death. The Scootosaurus tanks and the Lystrosaurus bunkers that didn't dig deep enough. They are cooked, suffocated, and burned. The entire world of ghosts. The Inostransavia, the Rubidgia, all the monsters that haunted your nightmares. They have nowhere to hide. They are too big. Their power is their doom. They are all dying, right now, on the surface in a symphony of agony. They are suffocating, starving, and being sunburned to death. You are in your burrow. You are fine. You are asleep. You are not a king. You are not a monster. You are not a tank. You are a survivor, and you are waiting for the silence. How long were you paused? You have no way of knowing. Was it weeks? Months? Was it years? Your warm, deep mammal brain, which has been idling in the blackness, senses a change, or rather, a lack of change. The vibrations have stopped. For your entire life, the world, even at its most quiet, was thrumming. The howl of the 22-hour night wind, the distant thud of the Gorgonopsids, the hiss of the ocean, the shaking of the earth from the distant, now apocalyptic Siberian traps. Now there is nothing. The silence is what wakes you. It is a silence so profound, so absolute. It is a physical presence. It is a sound in its own right. It is the sound of a world that has been turned off. Slowly, your internal furnace gutters back to life. Your metabolism, dialed down to near zero, begins to ramp up. Thump. Thump. Your heart speeds up. You take your first deep, conscious breath of the stale, hot tomb air. You dig. You dig up. You claw, weakly at first, then with a returning, desperate strength, at the plug of compacted, acid-soaked sand you use to seal your tomb. You break through. You crawl, a ghost from your own grave, up the tunnel. You push your snout, caked in mud and filth, through the final flimsy barrier, and you emerge into the new world. The air is breathable. Just the stink of rotten eggs, the hydrogen sulfide, has faded. The sting of the acid rain is gone. The sky is still a sickly yellowish brown, but it is brighter. You can almost see a dim, hazy smear where the sun should be. But the silence. You are standing on your dune, your safe beach, and there is no sound. The wind is gone. The 22-hour night howl is gone. The ocean. You look at it. The purple is gone. It is a dull, flat grey, and it is still, like a pond. The hiss of the waves is gone, and the land is silent. No roars, no thuds, no scrapes, no bellows. This is the mainstream historical fact of the New World. The fungal spike. The Glossopteris forests are gone. The tanks are gone. The monsters are gone. The entire world is dead. And the ground is covered in a carpet. A pale, greyish-white, slimy carpet. This is the scientific evidence that defines the boundary. The only thing that survived on the surface, the only thing that thrived in the hot, acidic, UV-blasted, post-apocalyptic rotting world, was fungus. You are walking on a planet that is nothing but a graveyard, being composted by a single global, continent-spanning mold. The air smells, not of sulfur, not of salt, but of rot, of mildew, of a deep, damp basement smell on a planetary scale. This is the quirky, profound tidbit of your survival. You have won. You have inherited the Earth, and your inheritance is a silent, moldy, monster-free ruin. You walk, your claws sinking into the pale, slimy, fungal mat, over to a pile of something. It is a skull. It is as big as your entire body. It is picked clean, not by scavengers, they are all dead, but by the acid rain and the fungus. It is white, pitted, and half buried in the grey, mouldy ash. And it has a 6-inch serrated saber tooth, broken off at the hilt. It is an inostransvia. You stand there, a 6-pound, furry, cowardly living thing, and you put your tiny, warm, living paw on the cold, dead, fossilized skull of your nightmare. You are the only thing left. You are it. The monsters are gone. They are extinct. You are the only apex predator left. You stand on that fungal-covered beach, your paw on the skull of your dead god, and you are, for a moment, the only living thing on Earth. You are the sole, warm-blooded, 6-pound heir to a silent, mouldy planet. But you are not. You have survived. You, the Cynodont, the dog tooth, the meek side of the family. You, the burrower. You, the hider. You, the nocturnal specialist. You, the one who was paused in a sealed tomb. But remember, your strategy was not unique. You turn your back on the great, silent, grey ocean and look inland, past the dunes, toward the ruined, rotting, fungal plains of the interior. And you see it. It is not a monster. It is a traveler. It is pig-sized, with a barrel chest. It has a strange beaked face with 2 tusks. It is Lystrosaurus, your cousin, the bunker builder. You are not alone. The mainstream historical fact is that the Great Dying had 2 winners. The filter, that brutal multi-stage apocalypse of heat, acid, poison gas, and UV radiation, was so specific that it only allowed one lifestyle to pass through the eye of the needle. The creature that was already hiding deep underground. Your bunker cousin, Lystrosaurus, has also emerged from its burrows. It sees you. You see it. You are perhaps the 2 most advanced, most complex, and loneliest creatures on the entire planet. You are the Adam and Eve of the New World, a furry badger rat and a tusked, beaked pig lizard, standing on a carpet of mold, having just inherited a corpse. There is no fight. There is no territory. The world is empty. You just look at each other. A long, silent 250-million-year-old stare. And then you both go about your business. You, back to the dead beach to see if anything, a washed-up dead ammonoid shell, has survived. It, back to the fungal mat, to snuffle through the mold and dig for the last tough, dead Glossopteris roots. You are the two survivors, but your destinies will be very, very different. You, the Cynodont, the small, fast, intelligent one, your lineage will be one of scarcity. You will remain small, in the shadows, a few tiny survivors in a broken world. But Lystrosaurus? This is the quirky, mind-bending tidbit of the new world, the early Triassic. This is the planet of the Lystrosaurus. In the immediate aftermath of the extinction, as the world struggles to reboot, as the fungal mat gives way to the first stringy disaster weeds, Lystrosaurus thrives. Its competition? Gone. The Scutosaurus tanks? Extinct. The Gorgonopsid monsters? Extinct. The Therocephalian venom heads? Extinct. Lystrosaurus is the only large, plant-eating, land animal left on Earth. And it does what disaster taxa do. It explodes. It has no predators. It has no competition. And it has an entire empty fungal planet, all to itself. This is the scientific evidence that boggles the mind. In the early Triassic, the period immediately after the extinction, 90%, 90, of all land vertebrates on Earth were Lystrosaurus. Imagine it. Imagine a world of just one animal. A planet of pig-sized, tusked, beaked, burrowing survivors. A planet of clones. You would walk from the now thawing South Pole to the equator, and you would see nothing but Lystrosaurus, snuffling the mold, digging for roots, mating, reproducing, filling the vast, silent, broken world with itself. It is the ultimate, desperate, post-apocalyptic monoculture. And this is the greatest scholarly debate of the extinction. Why? Paleontologists still argue, passionately, over this. Why Lystrosaurus? Why not you? Why them? It's the Lystrosaurus problem. Was it just dumb luck? Were they in the right place? Like Africa at the right time? With the right depth of burrow? Or was it something more? Was it their lungs? The leading theory is that their barrel-chested, powerful lungs were uniquely adapted for a low-oxygen world. They had already evolved to breathe the thin, useless air of the high-altitude interior of Pangaea. And so, when the entire world became a low-oxygen, high-CO to hell, they were fine. They were the only thing that could breathe. Or was it the burrows? Was it just that simple? The UV radiation filter. They were the only large animal that hid from the sun. You are also a burrower. You also have efficient lungs. Why not you? The answer, perhaps, is scale. You are small. Your burrows are small. You survived as a remnant. Lystrosaurus was big. Its burrows were warrens. It survived as a population. You are the specialist survivor. It is the generalist survivor. And in the new, broken, simple world, the simple animal wins. You watch your tusked, pig-sized cousin, Lystrosaurus, snuffle through the grey, fungal mat. It is the king of this new, broken world. And you are the shadow. You are the ghost at the banquet. You are the survivor who lost the inheritance, even though you survived the crisis. You are a remnant, a holdover, a tiny 6-pound mammal ancestor in a world that is now being completely, totally, monopolistically inherited by your other burrowing relative. But as you stand there, on that silent, grey, Lystrosaurus-filled beach, you realize the great, terrible, cosmic joke that the planet has played. The premise is complete. The great 250-million-year-old journey we started. It has reached its conclusion. The land is finally safer than the water. The safe ocean, your sanctuary, your buffet, your shield. It betrayed you. It became a hot, acidic, 104-degree, purple, poison gas-spewing hellscape. The mainstream historical fact is that the ocean anoxia and acidification were so profound that it took the seas 10 million years to recover. For your entire lifetime, and the lifetimes of your children's children's children, the ocean will be a dead zone, a place of death. The land, however, the land is safe. You stand on the land. You breathe the air. It's thin, but it's not lethal. You are not being boiled. You are not being dissolved. You are not being poisoned by hydrogen sulfide. And, most importantly, you are not being hunted. The Inostransavia is a skull. The Rubidja is gone. The Therocephalians are extinct. The Cynodont is boiled. The land is, for the first time in 50 million years, completely, 100%, totally safe. This is the great punchline, and this is the quirky, profound tidbit. It is an empty safety. It is the safety of a bombed-out city. It is the peace of a graveyard. The monster gap, that strange, temporary lack of predators that you discovered in the ocean, that was the kill mechanism. The instability of the land, the volcanoes, didn't just kill the land monsters. It created a new monster gap, a global one. The monster gap won. It has consumed the entire planet. There are no apex predators left. Anywhere on Earth. The game of eat or be eaten has been cancelled due to Armageddon. The entire top of the food pyramid, on land and in the sea, has been vaporized. The only things left are the bottom. The disaster weeds, the fungus, the Lystrosaurus that eats the dead weeds. And you the Cynodont, have survived. But here is the scientific evidence of how you survived. It is not a story of victory. It is a story of scarcity. When your human descendants, 250 million years in your future, look at their own DNA, they will see this moment. They will see the scar. Scholars still debate the exact timing, but the evidence is there, written in the junk DNA, in the genes. There is a population bottleneck. A bottleneck is what happens when a species is reduced to a handful of individuals. This is your true legacy. You are not a thriving population like the Lystrosaurus. You are it. You are perhaps one of a few hundred survivors on the entire planet. Your entire lineage, the one that will one day produce mammals, primates, humans, us, has been squeezed through the eye of the needle of the apocalypse. We, as a lineage, were reduced to a handful of survivors, in a handful of burrows, paused, buried alive, waiting for the fungus to tell us it was safe to come out. You have 1. You have won in the sense that you are breathing. You have won in the sense that the Gorgonopsid is not. You have won in the sense that the only other large-ish animal on the planet is your tusked, beaked herbivore cousin. Lystrosaurus will not hunt you. It will ignore you. For the first time in the entire 250 million year history of your lineage, you can walk on the surface, in the day, what's left of it, and nothing will try to eat you. You have won. It is the most hollow, most terrifying, most lonely victory in the history of the world. The new era has begun. The Triassic is here. You, the Cynodont survivor, the remnant, begin the long, slow, lonely work of rebuilding. The planet of the Lystrosaurus is a phase, a disaster monoculture that will last for a few million years. But as the planet slowly heals, as the fungal spike gives way to the first tough, stringy disaster weeds, and those give way to new kinds of forests, the world gets complex again. And in a complex world, the simple animal, the Lystrosaurus, loses its advantage. It fades away. But you, your lineage thrives. You are built for complexity. You are smart. Your brain is your real superpower. Your descendants, creatures paleontologists will call Thrinaxodon, are a masterpiece of survival. They are you, but better. They have a more efficient warm blood, a more advanced inner ear, and this is the scientific evidence. For the first time, we see the pits in the snout bone that tell us they had whiskers. They are, for all intents and purposes, the first true proto-mammals. Your lineage, the Cynodonts, dog teeth, will repopulate the empty, broken world. You have won. You have survived the filter. You are the heir. But you are not. You were not the only remnant in a burrow. This is the mainstream historical fact of the Great Extinction. The filter was brutal, but it let 3 things through. 1. The bunker builders, Lystrosaurus, which won the immediate prize. 2. The smart hiders, you the Cynodonts, who will win the long prize. 3. And them. The other survivors, a different group entirely. A lineage of reptiles. They are the archosaurs, the ruling reptiles. They also survived. Scholars still debate how, but the leading theory is that they were just better at dealing with the hot, dry, awful new world. They didn't need a warm-blooded furnace that demanded fuel. They could bask in the now unfiltered, UV-heavy sun. They were cold-blooded, and that was their advantage. They didn't need to eat every day. They could wait. And their reptilian scales offered better protection from the UV rays than your fur. And this is the quirky, profound, and, for you, terrifying tidbit of the new Triassic world. The planet has a vacancy. The monster gap, the one that defined the Lapingian, is still here. The apex predator job, the one left empty by the Inostrancevia and Rubigia. It is an open niche. You, the mammal ancestor, are not going to take it. Your lifestyle, your cowardly. Genius is burrowing. It is hiding. It is the night. You are small. You will stay small. You are done with the monster game. But the archosaurs, they are not. The ruling reptiles look at the empty throne, and they decide to take it. Your 2 lineages, the Cynodonts, yours, and the archosaurs, the reptiles, are now in a new arms race. It is a 150 million year long dynastic struggle for the soul of the planet. And for the first 150 million years, you are going to lose. The scientific evidence is undeniable. The safety of the land, your empty world with no monsters, it is the briefest of false dawns. It is an illusion. It is just a pause, a reboot, as the planet-sized game engine loads the next set of monsters, because that is what the archosaurs are becoming. Your descendants, the Thrinaxodon, the first mammals. They will be forced back into the burrows. They will be forced back into the night. Because the archosaurs, they are inventing something new, something fast, something efficient, something terrifying. The safety is over. The age of dinosaurs is about to begin. And your prize for surviving the worst day in planetary history is a 150 million year long sentence of hiding under their feet. And so the new age begins. The next age. The age of reptiles. You, the small, furry, warm-blooded Thrinaxodon, the proto-mammal, the survivor. You have been pushed back into the shadows. You have been demoted. You have survived the worst day in planetary history, only to lose the world that came after. But that is the secret, isn't it? That is the secret of our entire 250 million year journey. That small, terrified, whiskered creature cowering in a burrow, hiding from the Inostrancevia, that was us. The cowardice that made you dig, that was the only strategy that could outsmart a UV death ray. The weakness of your small size, that was the only body plan that could hide from a monster too big to fail. Your expensive adaptation, that greedy, high-metabolism warm blood that kept you starving, that was the engine. That was the furnace that fueled the brain, the complex, fast, problem-solving big brain that was smart enough to be afraid, smart enough to plan, smart enough to hide. You, the listener, right now, in your bed. You are a direct descendant of that cowardice. You are the result of that that efficient size. You are the product of a billion nights of terror, of a billion successful escapes. It is the single greatest survival story the planet has ever written. Your fear, your anxiety, your instinct to seek shelter, that is your inheritance. You come from the thing that hides. You come from the thing that endures. You come from the thing that wins, not by fighting, but by waiting. And the legacy of your safe water? The memory of that quiet, black, beautiful lie of an ocean? The planet, eventually, forgot it. The mainstream historical fact is that the oceans did recover. It took 10 million years, a geologic eternity of flat, grey, dead, anoxic water. But the planet's chemistry slowly reset itself. The CO2 was reabsorbed. The heat faded. The water cooled. Oxygen returned. And life, as it always does, returned with it. And as life returned, the quirky, inevitable tidbit is that the monster gap closed. The rule, the ocean is scarier, reasserted itself with a vengeance. The new Triassic Ocean was not a quiet buffet. It was a terror. It was filled with new monsters, monsters that the Gorgonopsids could only have dreamed of. The ichthyosaurs, fish lizards that looked like demonic 30-foot dolphins. The pliosaurs, the true sea monsters, 40 feet long with a skull bigger than your body, a creature that hunted the ichthyosaurs. And eventually, after millions of years of this new, terrifying arms race, the ocean would produce its masterpiece, the megalodon. The safe water was a blip, a fluke, a one-time only get-out-of-jail-free card, which you, our ancestor, cashed in, just in the nick of time. And you needed it, because you had to hide for a very, very long time. This is the scientific evidence of our lineage, the long night. Our ancestors, the first true mammals, spent the next 150 million years hiding from the new monsters, the archosaurs, the dinosaurs. Scholars still argue about the details of this long night. Were we really just terrified, nocturnal, shrew-like things, living entirely in the dark, under the shadow of the dinosaurs? Or did we find new ways to thrive? The evidence says we hid. We stayed small. We stayed smart. We stayed in the burrows. We perfected the night. We let the dinosaurs have the day. We let them be the monsters. We had learned our lesson from the Gorgonopsids. The monster niche. It's a trap. It looks like winning, but it just makes you a bigger target for the next apocalypse. And that next apocalypse did come. A new extinction. An asteroid this time. And it cleared the board again. And it wiped out the dinosaurs. And when the dust settled, again, who was left? US, the small, smart, warm-blooded, burrowing thing, crawling out of its hole, again, into a new, silent, empty world, again. And this time, we won. The 250 million year journey, it is over. The struggle is over. All those ghosts, the inner Cynodont with its saber teeth, the Cynodont in its murky river, they are gone. They are just dust. They are just stories. That terrified, furry, 6-pound creature, you won. You are the result. You are the apex. Not because you are strong, but because your ancestors were smart. Not because you are brave, but because your ancestors were survivors. That entire, terrible, Lapingian world. You can let it go. It is no longer your problem. The silence you hear now is not the silence of a fungal planet. It is the peace of your own room. The air you are breathing is not the thin, 16% oxygen soup laced with poison gas. It is your air, full and rich and clean. You can let the image of that purple, toxic, 104-degree ocean just fade. Let it dissolve into the darkness behind your eyes. Let the smell of the rotten egg gas, the sting of the acid rain, just go. You are not on a black sand beach hiding from a rubidia. You are here. You are now. You are safe. You are in your own burrow, the ultimate burrow. And all the monsters are gone. You can close your eyes. You have earned this. You have been hiding. You have been running. You have been surviving for 250 million years. And now, it's just time to sleep.